Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And of course, I am your host, Mr. Boomstick XL. And as you can tell, we have a stacked panel, but we have an even larger stacked list of topics that are going to fill easily 2 hours of your evening. So sit back, crack your favorite beverage, have a snack or two, and get ready to have a lot of hashtag fun here this evening. So let's get into the introductions. And first, we're going to start with our Mr. GameStop, someone that has been cranking out content almost like it was pouring water out of a cup. And quite frankly, it's been content worth watching and listening to. His channel's exploding, and he's here for your listening pleasure this evening. Please welcome Gaming Forte.
Yeah, man. It's been a real crazy couple of weeks. Channels like literally blowing up. It's kind of crazy. Shout out to Slow-Mo for making me do that challenge that I ended up winning, but I guess I won twice because ever since then, man, it's like we just passed 1,800, so we're like literally 200 away from 2,000. Awesome, so that's a tribute to everybody on this show, everybody that watches everybody that watches the video. So shout out to you guys. I really appreciate it. But yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff that happened over the course of the weekend, so let's get into it.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna open up the show, folks, with some DC fandom news. We're gonna move it immediately on to, of course, Batman, Gotham Knights, and Suicide Squad talk, and then, of course, the second half of the show is going to be all about Xbox. Yes, that's right. We're going to be talking about what could potentially be coming to Xbox Game Pass this week. Apparently, it's supposed to be big, but the second part of the question is, do the Xbox fans, well, I should say it more like this, are the Xbox fans owed something big from Phil Spencer to replace Halo Infinite this fall? The answer is, you're goddamn right we do, but we will break that down on the second half. So let's continue with the introductions. Next up, you know him as our resident assassin, someone that will shoot you in the face for fun. Please welcome Tempest Son.
Yeah, you make me sound like such a bad guy. No, I'm very, very, very happy to be back. I hate missing shows, but sometimes it happens. But I'm back. I'm ready to get into it, and I am excited for the topics.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun, and it is great to have you back, a part of the panel as always. Next up, you know him as our resident Cape Crusader, someone that we still cannot shake the smile from his face because DC fandom might have given him wood. Please welcome Cyber Batman.
There it is. Oh man, I'm excited to be here today. Like every week, of course. But man, we had a good weekend, a lot of news, which is awesome. Yeah, let's just get it started.
Nice. Well, it's great to have you here, and I know that you're going to have a lot to say regarding what took place this weekend. And last, and in no way least, someone known as the Mag, but he is also an up-and-coming rising star within the podcast game. He is not only a panel member on Primetime Gaming, he has recently taken the position to be with Noof Nukem, with sounds awesome. Hey, Mag, welcome to the show, dude.
Well, good evening, Boom. Good evening, chat. And good evening to this fine panel. Yes, I am the middle-aged game guy, better known as the Mag, on these killer streets. I hope you brought fire extinguishers, because tonight's show is going to be fire. Let's get into it.
Yeah, well, listen, you know what? DC fandom took the world by storm this weekend. And quite frankly, there is a lot to discuss. Now, besides the official reveal of Batman, Gotham Knights, and of course, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, we got a chance to take a look at Matt Reeves' The Batman. We also got a chance to see a new trailer for Wonder Woman 84, which looks absolutely amazing. I was a little concerned about Cheetah, but she does look pretty close to, of course, the comic, so I'm okay with that. We also got a chance to see the first real trailer of Zack Snyder's Justice League coming to HBO Max, and more than I think the surprise announcement actually happened the day before DC Fandom, and that, of course, was Ben Affleck will reprise his role in as the Dark Knight in Flashpoint, and he's going to be joined by Michael Keaton, who's going to be playing, obviously, the '89 Batman. So that movie is going to be dope. But of course, look, the best way I could describe the DC overload is that AT&T has been making some big changes to restore the trust it has lost over the years when WB was being run by business people who only had their investments in mind instead, of course, the fans' best interests. Now, this, of course, is a video game talk show, so we are going to move it right down to WB Games Montreal and, of course, Rocksteady's games. We're going to start with, of course, Batman Gotham Knights. Now, Gotham Knights looks extremely fantastic. What was surprising to me is that it's going to be releasing on all 4, or should I say 5 platforms. You're getting it on the Xbox One X. You're going to get it on the PlayStation 4. You're going to get it on the PC. But you're also going to get a PS5 version as well as the Xbox Series X version. And obviously, that is probably where most of us are going to play it. Now, what was interesting is that the game does not have Batman, at least for the first half. Now, this is a tale that is going to be talking about one of course, one of the finest stories in Batman lore, and that is the Court of Owls. That has been rumored and officially confirmed that we're going to see who the Court of Owls are. And I personally think that the story draw is that Batman potentially faked his own death to draw out the Court of Owls. And we'll see how it plays out. I don't necessarily think that Batman is dead, but we also have to take into account, folks, and this was confirmed. This story is an Elseworlds story, meaning that it does not take place in the Arkham universe. So I want people to understand that this is not Arkham. This is its own story or its own Elseworld, or for that matter, another Earth. Like we know DC has tons of them. And what is interesting to me is this is a Batman game without Batman. And I saw a lot of people really upset about that. But the fact that we're going to get a chance to use the entire Bat family in a co-op mode, this is something I think most people in this community have been begging someone to do, and that is a co-op based Batman, and this looks dope. So of course I want to start with Cyber Batman, or should I say Cyber Knox on this one. When you saw the trailer, first of all, we got a chance to see gameplay, not a CG trailer, actual gameplay, especially when it was Batgirl, I believe, with Nightwing fighting Mr. Freeze, which looked dope. What are your thoughts on this game actually becoming a co-op based game?
So, like many of us, I was expecting a Batman game, right? Coming on, I was just like, here we go. I was salivating, looking at the screen. I was like, here we go, here we go. And then you see that little intro where you see, Bruce with, yeah, exactly. And you see Bruce telling, okay, if you're getting this message, that means I'm dead, and here you go. This is a code black. And then I was just like, okay, which direction are they going here, And I was surprised to see we've heard rumors about we're going to be playing as the whole Bat family. The Court of Owls is behind this game. I was a little unsure at first. As the more I saw it, the more I thought it was a cool idea. I like the co-op mechanics that they implemented in the game. This is something that we've seen already. Arkham Knight introduced this. I believe it was Arkham Knight. Yeah, Arkham Knight introduced this when you were battling a bunch of enemies. You can do the dual takedowns, and you can switch back and forth between the characters that were at the screen at that time. But I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was glad that this is a Gotham Knights game and that we're gonna be playing. But I was disappointed that this wasn't a Batman game and we weren't gonna see Batman. And then I was unsure. I was just like, hey, is this a continuation of the Arkham series? I was a bit confused. I was like, is this a continuation? and then even during the demo, Alfred was talking to Batgirl, and I was just like, wait a second, if this is a continuation, what's going on? If you see what happens at the end of Arkham Knight, and it was Protocol Nightfall, I believe it was called.
That's correct.
You saw the whole ending, and you see what happens at that end, and then you're like, so why is Alfred talking? I was confused, and then somebody, later on Twitter clarified, no, this is their own universe here. This has nothing to do with the Arkham. So I was just like, okay. Now, at first I was just like, oh man, are they really gonna have a game without Batman? And then I thought about it a little bit longer, and I was just like, we see the Court of Owls later on, right? They introduced them in the trailer. And then I'm like, I think that trailer, and I'll keep this very vague, something happens in the storyline of the Court of Owls that Batman's goes missing. He's somewhere for a long time. And I think that's because he hasn't checked into the cave, or he hasn't checked in with Alfred, or he hasn't checked in for a very long time. The assumption is that the Batman's dead, right? And that's what gets the code black sent to all the characters that we see during the demo, and that's why. And I think the mystery is going to be us, unveiling the mystery of the Court of Owls, and at the same time trying to find Batman. But I liked what I saw. I thought Mr. Freeze looked good. I thought that the boss battles looked pretty insane. I saw it was very Assassin's Creed-esque, the way they had the enemy levels on top of each character, their health bars. I thought it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun exploring Gotham and everything they probably created there with, I actually co-op with someone now here, and being part of the Bat family and covering the mysteries of the Court of Owls. Obviously, the Court of Owls, if you're not familiar with them, they have the Talons, which are phenomenal. They're like assassins for the Court of Owls. Yeah. And you see it at the end of that trailer. They have tens, if not thousands of talents. So it's going to be fun, and it's going to be interesting. I know we'll probably talk about this, but I'll mention it later about the Suicide Squad game. But yeah, not the game that I was hoping for, but it was not the game that I thought we were going to get. I thought we were going to get a brand new Batman game, but maybe this will introduce us to something new. But I was excited for what I saw. I think it's a new direction, but hopefully WB Montreal will make us proud.
Well, I mean, listen, there's a lot that they showed. There was also not a lot of explanation. One of the things that was, for me anyway, was slightly disappointing, and I can understand why. The world took a shit in 2020, and if this was a COVID-free world, I can see this game releasing for holiday. And I think that's what the rumor was, that they were banking on releasing it holiday 2020 to coincide with the launch of the new consoles. And of course, that didn't happen because of the world being the world. And we're getting it in 2021. Again, I don't think that this is going to be the last game. I think that, and we were talking about this privately, and again, I'm not going to change the subject. I think that this fall is going to be very sparse with big AAA games, and it's not just Halo Infinite removed from the conversation, folks. Get ready and buckle in, because I think that you're getting new consoles, and I think there's going to be only a handful of games to play on. That's why I think one of the reasons why Microsoft is being very their emphasis on you can play thousands of games, because I think a lot of people are going to be playing older stuff that maybe they didn't get a chance to play, because it's not just Microsoft. I think Sony is in a bit of a pickle too. But again, that's a subject for another day. We would certainly get to it. I want to go, first of all, I'm going to introduce Clowns. Clowns, welcome to the program, my brother. I didn't think you were going to make it today. I'm glad that you are feeling better and that you are back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love being here, Boom. I always appreciate it. I really appreciate being on this panel. So many awesome people on this panel, Boom, that you put together.
Well, listen, it's great to have you back, dude. And glad, again, you're feeling better. And we're going to come to you in just a second. Let's go to you first, because you are our resident comic guy. Like, you are a big DC fan. You're a big Marvel fan. And we opened up the show talking about DC fandom. There was a lot of information that was put out there, but more specifically, because this is the gaming talk show, we're going to be talking about, because obviously there's two subjects. First, we're going to tackle WB Montreal's Gotham Knights. And I'm interested to know what your thoughts are the fact that, A, we're not playing as Batman, it seems, for almost the entire game, unless he comes into play somewhere in the middle. And more importantly, that they changed this from being a single-player game to almost seemingly a co-op based game. Now, I'm just curious how that's going to work. Is that going to work like the Avengers, where you have to have co-op and you're just going to work with a AI partner? How do you see this playing out, Clowns?
See, that's the tough part. Like, are they really going to try like the Marvel Avengers approach? I mean, DC has to have something to answer to that kind of approach, because I think Marvel's Avengers is going to do well. But there's a couple things that I am not happy about with Gotham Knights as a DC fan. One of them being is that allegedly Batman is dead, that he's dead in that universe.
Right.
So that's very disappointing, because Batman fans really wanted a Batman game. I mean, that's what they were hoping for, and it was kind of a letdown by DC not having a Batman game. And instead we get, for the characters like Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Batgirl. Now, Batgirl is kind of cool because she's in other universes, as well as Nightwing and Robin. But it still doesn't fill that hole for me. Like, where's Batman? Where's Bruce Wayne? How can this universe be like this? And I really want another universe to kind of come into this game later on. And I don't know if it will, Boom. Like, I really think they're going to stick to their guns on this one and just be like the separate universe where Batman's dead, and not do any crossovers right now, maybe in later games, or leave it open. But in the comic books, what I always liked about the comic book storylines is that, even if, let's say, a character was dead, like by the end of that comic book, you can see kind of like a teaser that another universe was coming into play, or like when they even did like the Batman Who Laughs was like the evil Batman from a different universe, or stuff like that. And this game, I don't feel that in this game, and I'm very disappointed by that. I'm very disappointed by the options they gave us. I don't think it really fills a hole for Batman fans. I'm not a big fan of Nightwing. I don't know many Batman fans who are a fan of Nightwing. I don't even know how that guy still has his own comic book. Robin is like how do you even put, he's just a sidekick. Robin is just a sidekick and nothing more. He's not like that superhero. He's just like, I consider him more like the fetch boy. Like, hey, go get me my Batarang. Hey, bring the Batmobile here. Oh, hey, call Alfred. I need something drop by. And Batgirl is, I see more of her as a vigilante than I do an equal to Batman, because she's like Commissioner Gordon's daughter. And I just don't feel like she has the capabilities that Batman would. She doesn't have the resources of Bruce Wayne or Wayne Enterprises behind her. She is just a solo vigilante with a suit and cape and maybe a few things on her utility belt. But it's just not the same. And Nightwing is just like, to me, is just a deranged Robin, to be honest with you. I think, he wants to be like Batman, but his costume is not up to par. He needs a whole new outfit, that guy. He doesn't even look like a superhero. He looks like somebody at a bad cosplay convention that just walked in off the street that bought something at like Party City or something. You know what I mean? Like,
matrimony.
So do you think that Robin is going to be Damian, or do you think it's going to be Dick Grayson?
I think it's going to be, it's a guy. I don't know. That's a good question. That is a fantastic question. Whether it's going to be Dick Grayson or Damon Wayne. Wayne. I don't know. It's
think Dick Grayson.
Yeah, I would say probably, because it's certainly in. I mean,
I was thinking it might be Damian in this world.
It could be Damian for sure. Yeah. Simply because, again, if you've read the story, and I highly encourage. I'm actually rereading the story now. I'm reading it. It's just fantastic. It really is, and it's worthy of a story being told. Now, again, I don't think it's going to be a one for one. Personally, I think we're going to definitely get some changes in the storyline. It's going to be interesting to see the whole Batman debacle. First of all, we have to welcome some good, a whole bunch. First of all, UK Dazarus. Obviously, Daz is recovering from a stroke, and he's looking pretty good. He actually put a video out the other day with his wife showing him walking. He is making big strides. Daz, great to have you in the chat. Of course, we also have royalty. The lovely Luca is here, and clowns.
Nice.
If you continue with this Batman slander, you just might get blocked. I'm just saying that's the rumor I'm hearing. So I don't know if it's true or not. But I want to welcome everyone. First of all, VJ, obviously, he has recently joined the Xbox Factor podcast on Thursday. We want to welcome him. We have a ton of folks here. I want to thank everybody. We have almost 200 people here, and the show just started. That is a big deal for this little program. But what I want to do is I want to move over to, of course, Gaming Forte. Now, Forte, we are going to be talking about the Suicide Squad. That's the second half of this topic. We're going to be talking Gotham Knights. Graphically, it looked amazing. I think that they really put their WB muscle behind this game. I wasn't sure what to expect. I expected to use because the rumors for months now have been that we're going to use the Bat family. What I didn't know is that we were going to basically use the Bat family from the get. And if that's not in fact the case, then maybe they're pulling a bit of a Metal Gear Solid 2 here, where you're going to get to use Snake for a little bit, but then then he goes away and then you're using someone else. What were your thoughts on the changes? That this is not only going to be the Bat family front and center. More importantly, it seems like it's a co-op based game.
Yeah, well, honestly, that didn't surprise me when they started talking about co-op, because it seems like every game has some type of co-op part to it at this point. For me, I think that they're just trying to do something different. I mean, the last few games, honestly, the last games that Rocksteady has done have all been Batman games for the most part. So seeing something different come from this is just more of things that they actually put into place over the course of the last few games and stuff. So you had like Red Hood, you had you had Red Hood, you had all these other characters showing up in these other games. So now, instead of just having it solely just focus down on Batman, it just seems like they want to do something different.
Yeah.
And they want to make it interesting, because like we're gonna get into Suicide Squad later, but how do you actually go after the person they're trying to go after in that game? That's like a punchline that makes you kind of interested in saying, if I wasn't interested in this now, I'm really interested, because how are you going to pull this off? That makes no sense in my head, especially with the cast of characters that you have in the game. So now that I'm looking at this game, I'm like, okay, everybody's going to want to play as Batman if you do a co-op version of a game, and nobody's going to be like, oh, well, I don't want to play as some random person. So we just remove Batman from the situation and make it so the backstory on Batman is he's not there, he's dead, or God forbid, just some other thing that's going to happen later on in the game where you find out that that's actually not the case. I think it's going to be about the journey being the story versus the character driving the story. At this point, they're trying to develop and get more characters in that universe that people kind of identify with. So I think this is a smart move for them to do. And instead of just making it a single player driven game, which I guarantee you'll be able to do, you'll be able to play through it from start to finish by yourself. But I think it's going to be just like Avengers. It's going to be funner playing it with your friends, and you'll be able to go through those experiences together. And then it's going to be able to branch and get more of those offshoot characters, even though most of these characters aren't just offshoot. Most of them actually have huge backstories that are tied to them, but not when it comes to the video game landscape. So I think video games is that new entry point for a lot of these characters to come in and become their own. And the only way they can get people excited around that is make a company that makes Batman games and say Batman's dead. And we know, and then all of a sudden people are like, well, I definitely want to try out the game because I know what kind of gameplay to expect from this developer, but I don't like that Batman's not there. So how do we change it up? So now you just implement, like you said, the first family, the Bat family, and that's what they're actually doing with this. So I don't have a problem with it. I can see people being a little upset the fact that you're not getting a Batman game, but I also think it really comes down to you as a gamer when you think about this. Just because you hear certain developers tied to certain games and you hear that they're working on something else. Kind of wait for that developer to come out and say it, because that's how you kind of get upset. I had no thought process on what this game could possibly be until they showed it. So I wasn't surprised when I seen it, but I do understand why some people were, because some people were kind of hurt because they were looking forward to playing as the main Cape Crusader in this game, and that's not going to be the case, at least from what we see on the outside looking in as of right now.
Yeah, it seems like it's very suspicious for sure. But real quick, people in the chat are saying that they hear someone either banging on a controller or something. There's a little bit of background noise. So
Somebody playing Batman right now.
I don't know. But real quick, let me just catch up on some of the super chats. First of all, we have Black Eye Dog with the outstanding and very generous $10 super sticker. Thank you for that, dude. We also have Steel Rain, who drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, boom, Dominus Maximus at 10K. Hopefully by this time next year, I will have hit 10,000 subs. That would be dope. He says, I'm here live with you tonight, fresh off of the DC fandom, that Batman Nights, Batman Gotham Nights. Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, it is a lot to get excited about, because I mean, folks, we haven't had a Batman game in 5 years, right? 2015 is the last time we had an actual Batman game, so it is a big deal. We also have Bounty Boom dropping a very generous $5 super chat, and he says this: all I'm saying is time for change. Give the Bat a break. I mean,
yes.
I don't know. We have the Ashton Luca, darling, thanks so much for being here, but thank you for the outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. And she says this: they all have they all have solo comics. Every member of the Bat family is capable. Dick Grayson is Nightwing, so he wouldn't be Robin. Hey, boom. Yeah. I mean, that's true. Yeah. They definitely all have their own comics as well. And listen, I think, look.
Oh, before you said, but that's exactly like that's the point I was making right there. They're all capable, but how do you get them in the limelight of a medium like video games? You make a compelling story of saying Batman's not there, and that's the one thing everybody wants. So now everybody wants to play this game to figure out what happened. What happened with Batman? And along the way of doing it, you're going to play as these 4 unique, different types of characters in a single player or co-op experience, and they can branch off from there. So it sucks that they're using Batman as the catalyst of saying he's not there to drive this narrative, but that's what they need to do to get people interested in other parts of DC, because let's be for real, DC isn't running from the brim for what people like. They have a lot of characters, but not a lot of characters in the video game sense that people actually care about. And this is like taking a step to do that.
Yeah, and it plays in Batman being missing plays into the story too, which is kind of cool.
A huge point. He's part of the game. He's just, you ain't playing with him as we know.
And again, we don't know when that's going to change. We remember, folks, they were very vague on. Again, they put the Bat family front and center, and I'm interested to know whether or not this is going to be 2-player co-op or potentially 4-player co-op. I don't know if they broke that down. At least I don't recall them. I know for a fact that it's 2-player co-op. I'm interested to see how far they're willing to take this. Could they potentially do 4-player co-op like the Avengers? That's something I think is coming to not this game, to Suicide Squad. But we're going to get into that into a second. Let me bring it over to a middle-aged gamer guy. Now, we know you're a big superhero dude, just like me.
Yes, sir.
And I'm interested to know what your thoughts and theories are on the way that not only they went out of their way to show actual gameplay. Remember, this was game play, and I thought it was excellent. I thought it ran smooth. There were some issues, some stuttering issues in a few spots, especially when they did, like, for instance, there was a part where Batgirl was doing some sneaking stuff, and she got caught because I think it got stuck, and she had to, then it became a free for all, because instead of it just being stealthy, obviously the shit hit the fan. I'm interested to know what your thoughts on this. Are you okay with no Batman, at least for it seems like the opening part of the game? And are you, do you want this to be a solo experience? Do you feel that this potentially could be forced co-op? I've seen some people say that in the chat.
Wow. You know what? That actually kind of tied my tongue a little bit there because forced co-op, I never even thought of that. But I will say one thing. Before I even get started in this whole subject, I just slipped on my Meg was right shirt because I did say 2021 for this game. I said it was way too late to announce a game this late and then launch it in the fall. I said it can't happen. And then when they said 2021, I was sad because I wasn't going to get to play it. But at the same time, I was like, I was right. But anyways, just joking around. But anyways, in all seriousness, I'll tell you what I liked first with Gotham Knights. And then I'll tell you, I'll voice some of my concerns, and this will all tie in, okay? And about what I didn't like, because not all of it's positive in my mind. Let's get to the good stuff first. The tone it's set from the get-go was outstanding. There was such a gravity to it. Batman is dead. It was very gray, very serious opening. It hammers home, and this is what I liked about it. It hammers home the importance of your quest. The character selection is good. I think that Batgirl and Red Hood are going to be my go-tos. That's going to be most likely my characters of choice. Something that made me jump out of my seat in excitement was the gameplay video, not the trailer, the gameplay video, because the first thing I noticed was Batgirl beating the snot out of some dudes, and I saw the hit numbers appear over their heads, and I immediately yelled out loud. I went, action RPG, baby!
Well, actually, they did say that. It is an action RPG.
There you go.
I actually kind of dig that.
I mean, that's my strawberry jam right there. Okay, that's my strawberry jam, baby. I love action RPGs. And, the developer said that, watching the Batgirl gameplay, she was about 10 or 12 hours into the gameplay, I think?
Yes.
And now here's an interesting thing. Just in case people started to get upset, because this is WB Montreal who did an Arkham Origins game. They stated right away that this is, well, not right away, but somewhere in there, they stated that this was part of the not part of the Arkham series. Yes. And that leaves the door open to go their own direction without people complaining about the different gameplay direction, right? Because then people say, well, they had 4 games that were this, and all of a sudden it's an RPG. That's ridiculous. So,
yeah,
but
it definitely seems like they're doing an Elseworlds.
Yeah, exactly. So they swayed it away from that, and they made sure that everybody knew it wasn't part of the Arkham world. I also did enjoy the playable characters from the Bat family. Now, here's another thing. A lot of people I saw when they had the live premiere of it and stuff, and people in the chats and things, people were talking about other DC characters, and they're like, well, why wouldn't they bring in Green Arrow or the Flash or Wonder Woman? And I said, guys, the answer is so simple. Those characters would be too distracting because they're huge names. You don't have Batman in here. So these are the little guys in comparison, mind you, and they're building them up and they're stepping up to be that big hero. How are you going to up Wonder Woman? And she's at the top of her game. I mean, any bigger, she's going to turn into Godzilla. This has the vibe to me of a grassroots underdog, build up and stand up tall sort of story.
Yeah.
And I really like that. Now, a couple things I didn't like. I know it's a pre-alpha, okay, and it looked pretty good, okay, but it's not anything we haven't seen before.
Some stuttering stuff in there.
Yeah. It wasn't. The graphics didn't blow my mind. They were nice, but they didn't blow my mind away. The visuals didn't blow my mind. Here's what really bothered me: the neon. Okay, maybe I've got PTSD from the Joel Schumacher Batman films. Okay, but I almost felt the vibe visually and in some of the gameplay tone of that. And I'm like, no, please don't go in this direction, which leads me to the petty dialogue. Dear Lord in heaven, Batman is just died. The entire city's fate is in your hands. Jim Gordon is dead, and Batgirl and Robin are cracking jokes. She's like, guess what? The elevator's broken. And, and Robin's like, well, did you want to take the stairs? Wah, wah. Like, come on, guys. There is a serious, by throwing in this humor, all joking aside again, by throwing in this humor, as a storyteller, you're unbalancing the tone you set at the beginning of the reveal with Batman dead and the gravity and the importance of your mission going forward. This isn't, in my opinion, the time for jokes. Okay, yeah. Maybe it's just me, but I prefer my DC material dark and brooding. Leave the jokes to Thor and Tony Stark. The one thing I failed to mention, by the way, this got nothing to do with my negative thoughts. I'm telling you, okay, this is just my theory. The Court of Owls situation, making their appearance at the end of the trailer, I don't think they're going to be the big bad in this game. I really don't. Now, allow me to explain. I think very much. You know what tipped me off right away? You know what it felt like to me? It felt to me like Voldemort in Harry Potter, or even Sauron in Lord of the Rings, or even Thanos in Marvel. The big threat is sort of looming in the background. It's kind of hanging over you like a cloud. It's always there. And but I feel that maybe this game is the start of a trilogy of games.
That's strong. That's a strong
Okay.
point. Yeah.
Now they openly said this isn't in the Arkham universe, so they have a clean slate here.
Yeah.
I think the Court of Owls will be that large, elusive threat that I can tell you in my mind, Batman is not dead. I don't think he's dead. He knows about the Court of Owls. And I think he's playing this one from the shadows, allowing the Bat family to take the focus. Jason Todd and Batgirl can't take on the Court of Owls. I don't care how high level they are. They will not be able to do it. Batman himself, at some point, I think, will face the Court of Owls in Game 3. And then I think it'll be more of a full-blown battle with all the characters involved, including the Dark Knight himself. That's my thoughts.
Well, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to call it an epic fail in advance if we have to wait 3 games to play as Batman. I'm going to say that right now. I don't know. Again, I agree with you to a certain point, because I think the Court of Owls are here. I think that, at the end of the day, they may be the reason why there's so much dysfunction outside of the norm in Gotham City, outside of already being a place that's basically a living insane asylum. Mm-hmm. But I don't know where they're going to go. And it's interesting because it has me intrigued. Again, not the Batman game a lot of people were asking for. And see, that's the thing that's pretty unique here, because there were really down the line split opinions. Like, you didn't really see a lot of people like, I take it or leave it, 50-50. No, people were straight up, this game doesn't have Batman, but it's in the title. Sucks. Garbage. And other people were like, that's a bold move. Yeah, that is a bold move. Batman's in the title. He's nowhere to be found. He's cold black. He's dead. He's DOA. He's gone. No one knows where he is. Alfred is running the show from the Batcave. And here you go. Here's the Red Hood, Batgirl, Robin, and of course Nightwing. And we've never used these characters. And when we have used some of these characters, it was only in like team up modes for the last Batman game in 2015. So to use these characters on a regular basis seems like it's going to be fun. And what I think was interesting and what has me stoked personally is the fact that we're going to be able to play this through an action RPG roundabout, if you will. I mean, again, we've never, we're going to have to level up their stats. It's going to be like your typical action RPG. We haven't had that before. We've had to, get gadgets, just never level up the character. Does that mean that we're going to get better moves? Does that mean that we're going to get better team ups and duos? I think the sky is the limit, but I
think that's why they have weapons and stuff. So there's a whole bunch of different things, but just in YouTuber terms, because we all do and watch YouTube here, this is the best clickbait title I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The name of this game. That's why I think it's just another way of them just trying to get other characters out there, because you use the thing that everybody cares about in order to promote the things that you want people to see. That's it,
dude. That is you're absolutely right. And again, I think that people, if you don't get a chance to use Batman at some point, whether it be a mission or two that you are actually using Batman exclusively, and then somehow it switches back to the Bat family and you continue your business, I think people are going to be pissed. But you know what? Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $5 super chat and says this reminds me of the TV shows Dallas from back in the days. Who shot JR? I will definitely play it just to see what happened to him. I hope the story is awesome. I have a feeling the story is going to be great, but Tempest Son, I saved you for last because you, my friend, are someone that not only enjoys are action RPGs, but you enjoy action RPGs in co-op. And this screams a game that you and your wife could potentially play. and it would be a pretty. It seems it right up your alley. What are your thoughts on the fact that Batman potentially, based on what we've seen, is not playable, and the fact that the game seems very co-op heavy?
When I first saw it, I was a little taken back, just because like Cyber, it just wasn't what you were expecting. We were sitting here expecting, most of us anyway, we're probably expecting like a traditional Arkham game, like Arkham City, Arkham Knight, and if we did get to play as the extended Bat family, thought it was going to be more like a few missions here and there, like DLC, like they did it in the past. So when I first watched the trailer, I was a little confused. I was like, whoa, wait, I was like, what's going on here? But, all these characters do have full backstories. They have their own comic line. I mean, like Miles Morales is getting his own game. How big that game is, who knows? But he's getting his own game, and he isn't Peter Parker. He's not like the quote unquote main Superman. And, nobody's having a problem with it. I don't think once the game comes out, I don't think too many people have a problem with it, especially if they actually flesh out these characters and they don't feel like side characters, even though they're the only ones you're playing as, right? I don't believe for a second Batman's dead. I've seen the storyline before. Mm-hmm. He's around. I don't know if he's going to show up this game halfway through the game.
Maybe he's in a tunnel somewhere. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? But at first I saw the health bar in the level and stuff like that, and I was, it's confusing. And like I said, it's just not what we were expecting in the first place. So when you first see it, it's a little jarring. But the more I got to think about it, the possibility of this game being like an Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for example. I've spoken on that game many times. I love that game. That was my game of the year, 2018. Some people did not like it for various reasons. Some people didn't like it because they're just like, that's not my Assassin's Creed. It's too different.
Right.
But essentially, that game is a very, very large open world RPG. It's very ambitious. There's a lot to it. And
it's probably one of the biggest ones right next to The Witcher. Like, it really gives The Witcher a run for its money.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely massive. So do I expect any game to be that big? Absolutely not. But what I got from it is I'm hoping it's less games as a service, so to speak, where you're going to be grinding weekly challenges and monthly events, kind of like Destiny. When I think of games of a service, the first thing that pops in my mind is traditional MMOs, because that's like my background, and Destiny. And I don't think this is going to be like that. What I hope this is when I'm sitting there and I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I say to myself all the freaking time, how cool would it be if I just had somebody with me, right? In this open world RPG area. Wouldn't it be cool to have another assassin on the other side of the encampment taking dudes out with me? Like if I could bring my wife along, how cool would that be?
Yeah.
If this game is more like that, it is more of just an open world RPG, but with a friend, if you want it to be, then I am completely all in. That sounds great to me. I'm kind of leaning on that's more or less what it's going to be. This looks like more of a vertical slice. I mean, the second, the trailer hit, you were on a bike as Batwoman just, cruising through. So it made it look like it was more on rails. But if it's anything like Arkham City, Arkham Knight, it is kind of an open world. You can go, where you want, when you want, just with somebody with you, then that sounds really fun to me. I mean, it's not quite what we were expecting, but I'm just glad we're seeing stuff, man.
Yeah.
The DC event as a whole, they nailed it. I mean, I'm more of a Marvel guy, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, but this had me hyped in more ways than one. And I'm just glad we're seeing stuff. This definitely seems like it's closer. Obviously, we didn't even see any shred of gameplay. Still don't even know what Suicide Squad is. But this seems attainable. This seems like it's going to come out sometime soon. And,
I'm thinking January, February, potentially March. March has become the new November in gaming.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, it's smart. They'll have even more time to work with these new consoles and stuff like that. It looked good. It didn't look perfect, but it looked good. The fighting mechanics, they it looks like what I've come to expect from it. It just looked like it was not more fantastical, but in a way it kind of was. I mean, Robin was using like a teleporting device. So he was legitimately teleporting from place to place which is also leads me to believe that it's more of an RPG, and you might have more of like a sprawling, skill set, if you will, that you can do some like more, outlandish things like Robin teleporting. He's more of a tech guru in this one. So it's, he's teleporting places. That's just not, you think of Batman, you don't think of, Robin teleporting from place to place. So I don't know. Overall, I'm just rambling here, but overall, I'm excited for it. At first, it was shocking, but now the more I think about it, the more I am excited for it. The only thing that's a little strange, and the game just must be built this way, is there's four main characters, and it's 2-player co-op.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too.
A little weird. But at the same time, if that's how they balanced it, that leads me to believe that it is more of like an Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or just, an Arkham City, so to speak, just with a friend. And that's what has me more excited than anything. So,
yeah. Well, listen, what I want to do is I want to transition right over to the second game, which I think everyone was looking forward to. And that is, of course, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League by Rocksteady, who, of course, created the original Arkham trilogy. And this is a game that has also been rumored for years, and we have confirmation that not only is the game real, but more importantly, it's coming out in 2022, and it's going to be Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 exclusive, of course, PC in that conversation as well. It's not coming to the old systems, and I think that by then, it's pretty much the old systems are a wrap, at least in my opinion. But this was a little different. This was a CGI trailer that had some really cool music, had some really good characters. I think obviously Boomerang was in there, King Shark was in there. Let's see, obviously Harley Quinn and I was going to say Bloodshot. Deadshot was in there as well. And I'm going to be honest with you, folks. I'm excited for this game, but also it is a very different DC game. You obviously are going to be using the Suicide Squad and not Batman or anybody in the Justice League, because based on how it opened, it seems as if they have been possessed or taken over or mind controlled by Brainiac. And obviously, at the beginning, they're just beating up on some low-level drone dudes, that are probably like just, working for Brainiac. They're like his creatures or whatever. And of course, they said move to Zone 3 and take care of the threat. And it turns out that threat is Superman, and that's how it ends. Now, this had, I think, for me personally, raised I think more questions were raised than answered. And here's why. We have on September 4th, Marvel's Avengers coming out. And we know that it's going to be 4-player co-op. And we know that the roster is going to change. And again, I didn't put it in the show notes, but there was someone did some, of course, what the internet sleuths do, and they data mined the demo, and they found 15 additional characters. You just imagine who was in there: Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Hawkeye, who we know is already confirmed. Hank Pym is going to be there. There's a ton of other characters. Vision was one of them. So we're going to get a ton of playable characters. Now, I'm more of a Marvel guy, but I know that the Suicide Squad dates all the way back to World War II. And I went to right before the show went live, I went to the wiki, and I want to say that it's probably closer to like 80 or 90, but I'm just to cover my bases, I'm going to say there's been 50 plus Suicide Squad members. My question, I think that I immediately raised, is because this seems like it's going to be a games as a service, more so than a single player game. It also seems like it's going to be a 4-player co-op game, just based on what we saw. Now, the question is that the game that everyone wants, number one? And number two, are we going to see downloadable characters in the form of other Suicide Squad members that have gone over the years? And there's been, again, folks, there's been quite a few members of the Suicide Squad Are we going to get a chance to play as them? Are they going to be paid DLC? Is it going to be free DLC? Like every character that's going to be dropped into the game is free for the Avengers. And I'm going to go to Gaming Forte first on this. Now, listen, again, CGI trailer, awesome music, great setup. That the fact that their Superman has lost his mind because he incinerated the pilot of that helicopter, which is of course not the Man of Steel not my Man of Steel. Now here is where it gets interesting, Forte. This game does in fact take place in the Arkham universe. So there's another big question. Is Batman dead? Is he a part of the Justice League? Wow. Lots of questions. What were your thoughts on what we saw, dude?
So that's what I remember. We talked about this when we were live. Matter of fact, when all this stuff leaked out the first time, and we gave a quick synopsis on what we thought. I think this is where you'll see Batman. I just don't think they actually said anything about it yet, because I'm just thinking like you're going after the most powerful being, one of the most powerful beings in DC. How and with the people that they have assembled to do that, it's like I just don't see it happening. And we all know Batman and Superman's relationship, especially when it comes to in the DC fandom and stuff. As of right now, how it's portrayed, Batman would have to be somewhat of a part of this, but if we were just to go off the face value of what they actually showed us, it looks like it definitely can be a team up game. And I don't know if it'll be a games of service. I just think that as of right now, you got to think of the situation that is going on with Warner Brothers. They're up for sale.
Yeah.
How do you find a way? How do you get people interested in a purchase of the IPs? Because guess what? Right now, the fact that you're making these games right now, you're basically promoting that this company or this section of the company is up for sale. Mm-hmm. So now you're trying to make it look as good as you could possibly look at. And then on top of that, you're not talking about your biggest blockbuster names being the tent poles that are going to push this narrative. So part of me, and like I think this is just basically, for me, a little bit higher level thinking on the whole situation, because if you're trying to sell something, and I don't think this is something they put in development a long time ago, because these games have been thought up well before they thought about probably selling the IP. But how do you make people interested in something more than just Batman and Superman? Because those are the two main cogs of what Warner Brothers has outside of Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is a thing in its own.
Right.
So, but the majority of the content is going to come from DC, especially if you're going to be a company that's going to pick up on all the extra IPs and stuff. So now you're trying to, acquiesce everybody else to same thing I was thinking with Gotham Knights. How do you market something that you never marketed before? Now you marketed Superman, you marketed Batman before, but you use those as the carrot on the stick to get other things put in place. The fact that you had a movie called Suicide Squad and the long freaking title that movie had, if you actually know what it is, I think this is just the next step in promoting just what they did around that movie, plus what they're doing with these characters that they have involved. But I do think Batman will have something to do with this one, because I don't think in the last game, if you don't play with Batman at all, and it's basically set up that he's dead, these could be two games that could be tied together at some point, where everybody says, well, they do use the word, these are two different universes and stuff. So, in this universe, Batman's dead. So what universe does Suicide Squad take place in? Does it say the same?
It's in the Arkham.
Oh, they said it's in the same. They say so. Yeah. It's all in the same Arkham universe. So yeah, I think whatever you don't get in one, you're going to get it in the other. If you don't see Batman in the first one, it's going to be a continuation of that story, just told in a different way in another part of the game. That's the only way I can see it, because at that point you got two related games that are taking place in the same universe that doesn't speak to one of the biggest characters that are in that universe, and you're leaving it open for interpretation. So I think they're using this as a good jumping off point. I do think you're going to get some type of Batman cameo. If not in the not in Gotham Knights, you'll get it in this one, because I just don't see how you go after Superman without the one person that knows him probably the most.
Yeah, that's actually a great point.
That's it. But it's going to be fun. But like you said, Boom, earlier, this is weird because we don't have enough information. It's like a lot of this has something to do with COVID being a huge stranglehold around the whole world right now. And a lot of this stuff probably would have been piecemealed out over the course of E3 going through August. We will have a way fuller picture of what these games were going to be and how they were going to implement their models and actually getting people into the ecosystem and purchasing, and if it's going to be games of service and stuff like that. I think they're still trying to find their way around that, but the fact that this is 4-player co-op, they actually confirmed that, right? 4-player co-op?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So me personally, I just think this is there, and they got so many other characters that they could bring into Suicide Squad. I think it's right for DLC on top of DLC. And if we know anything about Mortal Kombat, they don't have a problem with charging you $15 to $20 for 4 characters, because that's what they do in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, I mean, listen, it's going to be very interesting as we get closer to the release. But again, folks, we don't know when in 2022. My bet is I would love to say March 2022, which means that it was only about a year and a change away. I don't think it's going to be March. I think it's potentially could be a fall 2022 game, simply because, again, the world is the world, and I don't know how far along. I was actually surprised to see a full CGI trailer done, to be honest with you. I didn't know what we were going to get. Let's go to Cybernox. Cybernox, what were your takeaways for you personally regarding Suicide Squad, just based on what we saw with Batman Gotham Knights? Do we feel that it's going to be co-op? Do you think it's going to be a games as a service? Do you think it's going to be both?
I think it's gonna be mainly co-op, 4-player co-op. I'm not sure about game as a service. I'm sure they'll have expansions and things like that, but game as a service, like a game like Destiny, I'm not sure about that. When I first saw it, I was like, "Wow, Brainiac! Brainiac looked awesome!" Right? By the way, I thought the way they showcased the ship was amazing. And the first thing that I noticed about Metropolis is it was like daytime. You could actually see like everything. You're like, oh, cool, It was a CG trailer for the most part. You get the traditional 4 types of characters. You got your tank, you got your agility, you got your, overall kind of guy. What I found interesting is that I feel like Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad is basically like the same game. You have you're both in different cities, essentially kind of doing the same thing. You're playing co-op as these other characters, trying to discover a bigger mystery or get to the conclude, like on Gotham Knights, you're figuring out what's happening with Batman, and this one you're trying to get Superman, and I was surprised that WB allowed both these studios to make a game that's very similar. And as we know, like Rocksteady, even on Batman Origins, they did not include Batman Origins as part of the Arkham series. They're like, that's not our game.
Yeah.
Our trilogy is the Asylum, City, and Arkham Knight. Like they did not want Origins to be part of their umbrella or their family of games. So I was surprised when I saw that these 2 games are very similar. Like I mentioned before, very similar games. You're playing co-op and you're working to this bigger conclusion. And I thought the game, I trust Rocksteady. Obviously they made probably like one of my favorite games ever, which is the Arkham series. And I just don't. Obviously, they can potentially keep expanding this into other members of the Justice League that have also been taken over by Brainiac. But to that point, being in the Arkham universe, I think Batman will eventually show up in this game, right? Because I think he's probably going to be the key to saving everything. Like a lot of the times, if you see the animated movies or you read some of the comics, he always has like a contingency plan to everything that goes on, you know. So I think he will make an appearance. I find I do like kind of like Gotham Knights on Suicide Squad. It's going to be interesting playing with these different characters, right? And them potentially, kind of like Forte said, introducing new characters you can play as, and you know, expanding this world. But yeah, so maybe, I guess maybe it will be a game as a service. You know,
I think it has to be.
It has to be just to keep expanding that world, and you know, for the longevity of however long this generation will be, and for this game to only come out in 2022. I'm sure they want to have a lot of content, you know, coming out as people are finishing the first build of the game. So yeah, maybe it will be a game as a service, and they'll just keep expanding on it.
Yeah, I mean, only time is going to tell. Tempest, let's bring you your opinion in this. Did you get the 4-player co-op vibe? Because I'm going to be honest with you, it seemed, man, it seemed very Avengers to me. I could be 100% wrong, but it seemed like that is where they were going. And this is, in my opinion, going to be a game as a service. I know some people have been asking in the chat, will WB be the owners when these games come out? Now, I think they're not the owners now, folks. I still think Microsoft has signed the deal with them. And again, not going to bring this up to talk as a talking point, but did anyone else find it extremely suspicious that not only was there a WB sale going on, not only was Microsoft promoting DC Fandom, but they were tweeting the hell out of it as well. It seems to me that if they don't own WB, they got a marketing rights deal with both of these games. Which, of course, a week ago I thought Sony would have locked up this deal, and apparently that is not, in fact, the case. But getting back to Suicide Squad, what are you expecting from what we saw? Because again, it was just a CGI trailer.
Right. It was just a CGI trailer, but you could pick a lot of things from it. One, I think these characters are going to have somewhat of a role. The shark guy, I don't know who he is. I'm not going to front.
Yeah, King Shark. He's a good meta. I like King Shark, actually.
Okay. He looked like he was a bit of a tank, you know. He's probably the tank character, like the harasser, if you will. Looked like it was going to be Deadshot. I mean, he was flying around, roasting people with his boots, everything like that. First of all, I loved the trailer. I loved the tone. When they started playing Bombs Over Baghdad, I freaked a little bit. I love the song. I love Outcast. I was like, I love this. I love it. I love it. I'm not the biggest Harley Quinn fan, but I feel like when she's done right, she's a very, very like unique, interesting character. And I absolutely loved how she was portrayed here. I think this version of Harley Quinn was really started, and the version we have in the movies and stuff, I think this was started by Rocksteady. It was their rendition on her that really catapulted her, I think, like to the top of popularity, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, I agree.
Dude, I can't, honestly, this was my favorite thing from Fandom. I know it's just a CGI trailer. I know a lot of people give these developers crap over it, but this trailer did its job for me. I absolutely loved everything about it. I think you could get plenty from this. If it is a games as a service, it's Rocksteady. I hope they would do a good job with it. They said you could play it by yourself, and that your AI, it would be AI companions. So you're going to have 4 people no matter what, right? So this is going to be, though, a co-op game. I think that's cool. I hope they should learn a few things because it's coming out in 2022. One of the bigger gripes I have with the Avengers game coming out, not to pick on that, but like there's gear, right? The gear is pretty much an icon that tells you that it does this and this for your character. This game, all of these characters are using items, right? I'd hope that there's different guns. You know, you could actually, they would show the difference in the armor, if you will. I hope they can.
I would hope anyway.
Yeah, I would hope that they would change that over what you see from the Avengers. I don't know. I feel like I trust. Listen, you know, yeah, I know like Metacritic, some people love it, hate it, whatever. But like Arkham City is like a 96 on Metacritic.
Yes.
It is. They've made some of legitimately the best games of all time. Arkham City to me was the best of the three, and that game was just so freaking good, dude. It is so good. It's absolutely amazing, and I do enjoy Batman. I've loved him ever since I was a kid. While not my favorite hero, he's amazing. It's one of the deepest characters I think out there, period. One of my least favorite characters, you're going to laugh, is Superman. I'm not a Superman fan. I've never have been.
Blasphemy.
And so I'm sorry. But when he roasted that guy, and it was just clear as day that, no, the rumors are right. This is Justice League. Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League. And that's the target. Like, to me, I don't know, man. I just this trailer did it for me. And
well, you know, the humor behind it seemed very Sunset Overdrive, right? Like that's the feeling I got. Even at the end of it, 100%. The boomerang hits Superman in the head, and it ends. That was hilarious.
Yeah, the voice acting was spot on, dude. Yeah. Okay, Sunset Overdrive, but with DC characters with Suicide Squad. Sign me up, dude. Like, I love Sunset Overdrive. In fact, I played a lot of the multiplayer mode. And although I wish in that game you could just have a buddy going around with you, you know, like in the main game, if that's more like what we get, then I'm all for it, dude. I personally love this. This was my highlight of that entire event. I'm extremely excited. And, you know, when I first heard Suicide Squad game, I was like, yeah, I said this last time I was on. I was like, they just showed a picture of the target on Superman's head. Not just because I don't like Superman, but I was just like, the balls you have to be this set of characters to go after Superman, the quote unquote god of the DC universe. You know, it's just, it's cool to me, dude. I loved it. And, I don't know. You could probably hear it in my voice. This excited me so much. I am just tickled to death with the trailer. I just can't wait to see the actual game. And if it's Rocksteady we're talking about, it's going to look, at least graphically, it's going to look out of this world. And it's only for the next gen console. Right. So sign me up, dude.
Yeah. Arkham Knight till this day looks freaking amazing.
Absolutely. Still looks good. Yeah, still looks good. Middle-aged gamer guy. Let's bring you into the conversation. Obviously, a lot of vibes people are feeling from this game. A lot of excitement behind it. It's Rocksteady, so we know we're going to get quality. Do you have any concerns about Suicide Squad?
Well, I'll tell you. Let me tell you some of the good things. I'm going to ride off Tempest's positive train right now. So let me ride off that for a little bit, and I'm going to say a couple things. Now, it was just a trailer, but we can certainly speculate about a few things. Now, the first thing, the visuals, I know it was a CG trailer, but the visuals looked outstanding. I mean, they look detailed, beautiful. Another thing that I really thought was funny, Harley Quinn has not lost her edge, which is great. When Superman showed up and she dropped that line, she's like, "Beat it, spandex!" And I almost pissed my pants because that is pure Harley Quinn. No fear.
Yeah.
You know, no fear, nothing whatsoever. She just comes out and says things. I thought it was great. My prediction, by the way, I was thinking, which I said again, that characters can drop in any time. I believe they said that in an article, not in the trailer. I think there was an article saying that you would be able to drop in any time as an online co-op player.
So while he said that with Will Arnett too. He
okay.
That.
Okay, right. Okay, so now it looks like it's going to be like a more of an open world version of the Avengers with mission plaques, kind of like a Destiny 2 kind of vibe or that kind of thing. Maybe not like as deep as Destiny 2, but that kind of idea. It's all but guaranteed they'll be dropping DLC characters over time. You know, really expand this game to a multi-year project, which seems to be the hot trend right now. You know. And I think they can do, I thought about this. Maybe they could do Fortnite style events where you have like, let's say a week-long event where you and your buddies or whatever, and you have to take down Green Lantern or Martian Manhunter, you know, and you've got like 6 days or 7 days to do that kind of an event. I think that'd be pretty cool.
That's very interesting. You're right, dude. I mean, listen, we got to remember though. Also, there's the Justice League isn't just the 7.
No, there's all kinds of people in there.
There are a ton, so we don't know how far-reaching Brainiac's control is. You know, right. I mean, obviously, I think it was set in Metropolis, and it just looked like a bomb went off. So there's a lot going on. So again, from both perspectives, there could be, and again, I swear, I mean, listen, I'm going to keep banging this drum. This has games as a service, a 10-year
absolutely.
plan written all over the packaging.
100%. This is Halo Infinite minus Craig.
Yes.
Okay, so this is basically what this is going to be. And I think that by doing all this, the Green Lantern, the Martian Manhunters, that whoever else they want to throw in there, I think that they'll be doing those kind of events, and I think that'll be something that people could look forward to. And
like raids, you have to kill like Shazam, or you have to go after a Firestorm or somebody. Yeah,
exactly.
Lobo.
Very, very cool. Oh, Lobo, my lord. Yes. Now, as for the negatives, again, looked a little too bright for me. Okay, a little too bright for my liking. Sorry, Tempest. I like my DC, like I said before, dark and dirty. And boom, you stole the words right out of my mouth, because the first thing I said when I saw that, I go, why does this look exactly like Sunset Overdrive? That was the very first thing that came to my head. I mean, we all seem to have gotten that vibe. I like Sunset Overdrive, but I think that Sunset Overdrive should stay with Sunset Overdrive. I don't think it has any place in, at least in my selfish head, it does not have any place in my DC universe. They got the purple blood shooting around and all that kind of stuff they showed in the trailer. I mean, give me the dirt, baby. Give me the dirt. I don't want this clean, bright. Anyways, other than that, it looked great. 2022 is going to be a big year for gaming. I think we're going to be the new Horizon 2 there from Sony. We're going to be getting a new Forza, Fable, perhaps. Maybe even a new full Spider-Man game in there, and then the Suicide Squad. So all in all, it looks a lot to look forward to. So anyways, all in all, like I said, a little too bright, at least with what we saw. But other than that, I think it looks great, and I'll be there day one.
Nice. And closing out the topic, Clowns, why don't we go to you, our resident comic fan? What were your takeaways from the trailer? And we're going to get into the major second half of the show. We're going to be talking a lot of Xbox, so strap in, folks. Get ready. Clowns, why don't you close out this topic? What were your thoughts on the trailer?
I gotta say, with this one, I'm really excited. I like the Suicide Squad in general. I really like Harley Quinn. She's one of my most favorite characters. And one thing I noticed as a comic book fan is that this is the Harley Quinn that is Amanda Connor's Harley Quinn, right? Jimmy Palmiotti, the writer, and Amanda Connor, his wife, the artist. So it reminds me of her Harley Quinn a lot. So I'm really super excited for this. It's got the Harley Quinn humor, like you guys alluded to. And you know what's really fantastic? To see a character like King Shark in this.
Yes.
I mean, that is amazing, man, because I love
cut for sure.
Yeah, I love King Shark, and I'm really surprised that they decided to put him in the game, because he's not as popular as some of the other guys like Deadshot. But man, it's one of the reasons why I love the cartoon Harley Quinn, because King Shark's in there. To be honest, man. Yeah, I mean, this game has me hyped. The CGI trailer really has me hyped a lot for this game, and I am really excited to play this. And I do hope, honestly, that it's similar in some aspects, not a copy of, but similar in aspects to, like, Destiny Longevity or Marvel's Avengers. I hope, like, they continue to add, like, different strike-like missions, maybe raids where you have to rob banks as Harley Quinn, things like that, or the Suicide Squad. So there's so much potential here. And you guys also said on the panel as well, like maybe even weekly or monthly missions where you fight like superheroes like Green Lantern. I mean, how cool would that be? For once, you're actually the villain in a video game, like in a major video game, you are the villains. And this is really cool. It's a neat perspective. And I'm just psyched for this, man. Like, I can't wait for this one. I'm super excited for this.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can hear the excitement in your voice, Clowns, and obviously being a fan of Harley Quinn. Again, I think this game, it's Rocksteady. It is going to look amazing. It's probably going to play amazing. I have a very strong, suspicious feeling it is going to be the bad version of the Avengers by Square Enix, but for DC. And of course, it's coming to next generation only, which gives Rocksteady plenty of time to continue to work on it. I think we're going to see some serious deep cut characters, and I'd love to see that. I'd love to see, like, for instance, you also got to take into account we do have a new James Gunn Suicide Squad movie happening. We got to see we didn't get a trailer per se, but we got a chance to see all the characters, what they look like in costume, which all look dope. And there were a lot of really, really deep cuts. But look, all I can say, folks, is we haven't had a true Batman game in 5 years, and we're getting potentially at least 2 DC superhero games. Whether they have Batman, who the heck knows, but it's going to be interesting. But what I want to do is I want to transition into...
But do you mind if I ask the panel just something real quick? None of you guys feel that those 2 games are too similar? Gotham Knights and
I don't
really?
feel that way, because I feel one is like the Avengers and one is just like a co-op Batman game.
I agree, and
Okay.
yeah.
That's just my
Plus the
take.
tone.
I just don't feel they're the same. I think that they're where you might be getting some comparison is where we know that there are 4 characters for the Bat family are there, and here are the 4 Suicide Squad. I think that for me is where it ends, simply because you're not playing as 4 characters in in Gotham Knights. You're playing as 2, so it's going to be co-op based, and it is going to be in Gotham. Whereas this, it seems like it's happening in Metropolis, but it seems you might be doing some world trotting. So you're never really going to leave Gotham in Gotham Knights. I feel that this game opens up that Brainiac does not have. He landed his ship, and his base of operations might be Metropolis, but I think that his tentacles reach far. So you may be getting off-world stuff. You may be getting some, places in Africa, places in Ireland, places in Iceland. Who knows where this is going to go? London is a potential hotspot for sure. So that's just my take on it. But I mean, again, folks, there's a lot to get excited about, especially if you are a DC fan. DC really knocked it out of the park. They sold hope not only on the games but the films. And if you are a Marvel fan like me, you're sitting back in your chair saying, "Okay, Kevin, listen, 10 years are great, but." You got to respond somehow. We got to see what Marvel's going to do. But I want to move on to the main topic of today's show. Now, some people may be asking, well, Boom, why didn't you open up with the Xbox news? Because I did not want the DC fandom stuff to get swept to the side. Obviously, we're talking Microsoft. This one is going to be emotional, folks. We could get some lost subs. We could get some people to give me the finger, but I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real because, quite frankly, there are some questions that need to be asked. And I don't want to sound like an entitled gamer, but being that I've been banging this drum of positivity for Microsoft, I feel like I'm kind of owed something. But I'll break that down in a second. Now, look, the disappointment of Halo Infinite spans more than just the Xbox fan base. And I would even dare suggest that Phil Spencer himself is not only upset, but I would say that he is crushed that this game isn't coming out in its complete form, not piecemealed, DLC here, Halo Master Chief there, and multiplayer whenever they can get around to it. Delaying this game was the right call. And again, you heard me say that, but I'm going to say it again because it's going to lead into the topic. Now, in the last few days, we've been hearing something big is coming to Xbox Game Pass. And again, we've heard this from Phil Spencer himself. He talked about getting some third-party support in there, that the team is working on getting some big support in there. We've heard Venture Beat writer Jeff Grubb, who has been quite right in a lot of his predictions that something big, really big, is coming to Xbox Game Pass, and he still stands strong that it's not Cyberpunk 2077 day and date. He thinks that it's something else. And of course, now it's time to take a trip down Speculation Town. Now, obviously, if you listen to Randall Thor, good friend of the show, friend of this channel, his video that he posted yesterday talked about how he's hearing that it could be EA Access coming to the service, which would be interesting, to be honest. You get about this. I believe there's about 90 games in the EA Vault. I currently pay my $30 a year for EA Access, and I think it's worth it. But I think that maybe this could be a deal struck with Microsoft to get other services in their one service. Would make sense. A good friend of the show. There's an Xbox Reddit that I talk with on a regular basis through DM, and they sent me something today. And again, I'm just going to make mention of it because I didn't have a chance to really dig deep into it. But apparently, they have it on good authority that Sega, like a Sega type of EA access, could be coming to Xbox Game Pass as well. And we have heard some Xbox, Xbox slash or V, Sega rumors, even going back to the end of 2019. Are they buying Sega? That was the big thing, right? So we don't know. But kind of where I want to take this, kind of where I want to just do some quoting. Now, obviously, if you are familiar with Nibble, or at Nabillion on Twitter fame, he obviously knows a lot of people in the industry, and he actually was responding to Jeff Grubb regarding what's coming into Game Pass. And this is what Jeff Grubb actually had to say. He said, like I said, it's going to be kind of an Xbox month. It already did the xCloud announcement, and Phil already showed up at the Samsung Galaxy thing. Should still expect to see some more Xbox Series S, and yet another big reason to get Game Pass in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, this story is a week old, so we're potentially hearing, and if you follow Tim Dog, who obviously, if you don't follow Tim Dog, shame on you, but you know who Tim Dog is. He's thinking, and he put this out on Twitter, that the week of the 13th could be the big Xbox blowout event that was supposed to happen in August. That's that hardware and services event. And again, we don't know who potentially could be coming to Xbox Game Pass. Now, this is where I'm going to get a little salty, folks. And again, get ready, because you're going to see here a bit of a different boom. Like I said, I have an Xbox show. I'm proud to support the brand. I've had some big executives on my show. Obviously, Larry Herb last month on the show, legendary, unbelievable. It's probably going to be the biggest thing until, of course, I can get Phil Spencer on, and that's hopefully going to happen sometime in 2021. I'm working on it, folks. But as an Xbox dude, as someone that has supported this brand even in its worst state, someone that enjoys supporting multiple consoles, I kind of feel like Microsoft kind of owes something to the fans. I'm not saying me specifically, but I think that with Halo Infinite being, I mean, listen, folks, I don't know how long ago they knew this was going to be delayed, but up until the showing at the July 23rd event, I think that there isn't a person here that didn't think we would get Halo Infinite at launch, that somehow was going to, I mean, sure, was there a possibility, COVID and all, but based on what we're hearing, it's not COVID. This is some studio stuff going on. So again, water under the bridge. They're going to have it come out and hopefully 2021 celebrate the 20th anniversary of Master Chief, and it's going to be a 96 meta. Let's hope they can get that game there. But something needs to step in its place, folks. And as we know, Microsoft kind of put all their eggs in one basket when it came to Halo being the premier first-party game to launch with the Series X. Now, listen, if they tell me they're releasing with only indie games, I'm still getting a fucking X. That's not going to change. But the bottom line is that perception is where we start running into a serious problem. So the question is, what does Microsoft need to do to remedy this? Do they need to lock Call of Duty for a year? Do they need to pull a Sony? Do they need to say Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Sorry, PlayStation folks, you're not getting it for a year. And you know what? That might be a dick move to most, but sometimes you need to play dirty like your enemy. Look, folks, if you didn't play Ghost of Tsushima, this is the quick scenario. The samurai, which is what I consider myself in my heart, is honorable, right? Honor before anything. Honor, family, that matters. Play by the rules. Pull the sword out and duel. Well, Microsoft right now is the honorable samurai, right? They play by the rules, and they don't take digs very rarely, and they stand there and they're going to fight you with their sword. And the cons will throw salt in your eyes, stab you when your back is turned, cut the head off of a kid and be like, hey, tough titty, that's the way it is, right? That's Sony. Sony are the cons, and they are not playing games. They are serious about the next generation. We've seen it. They've locked up some big third-party stuff, and it appears, based on rumors, nothing's been confirmed, that they're looking to do that some more, right? So what does Phil Spencer need to do? Whose house does he need to drive up to and drop the boatload of money and say, listen, we need this game locked in for a year? Now, I know that in his heart he doesn't like that kind of stuff. But again, when you have your main dude have to take a knee in Master Chief, and that's what happened. Master Chief is taking a knee, folks. He's your main dude. He's out. Wow, someone has to step in, and sometimes you got to pay. Now, I want to go to Gaming Forte on this because, again, I sound salty as F, and that's fine. But you know what? The truth is the truth, and some people don't want to hear it. My question to you very simply is this. How bad and how much does Microsoft have to spend to lock in a monster third party to basically take that and fill the shoes of Master Chief?
A question you ask. All right, so let's be for real. Microsoft definitely needs to do something. I do agree with you 100% on that. I'm not going to be that person that's going to tell you that Microsoft can just release Xbox Game Pass and release a system this holiday and basically just say, oh, that's all you guys need. And all the games that we talked about, you already know they're coming in the future. No, people are looking forward to having this blockbuster game underneath their tree or in their midst the day they pick up their system. And it also but it also takes away some of the excitement around this holiday for Game Pass too. So how do you breathe more life into that? So I did a video yesterday or 2 days ago talking about how I think Microsoft is making that first step. So first, I think they're going after a lot of these smaller individual games that's going to be coming out only on Xbox when it comes to Game Pass. I think Martha is Dead is one of those games because of the way that the monikers and stuff when that is. But you guys don't want to hear about the smaller games. You guys want to hear about the bigger games. I don't think you're going to get a situation where they're going to just buy up exclusivity because I don't think that's what Microsoft wants to do. And they don't have to do that. They just need to get one of these bigger publishers, i.e. Cyberpunk when it comes to I'm running a blur. CD Projekt Red, one of their games, get them to get Cyberpunk to be put in Game Pass because all they need to do is basically show a value to the system outside of what people normally think of what you're getting on Xbox. Because right now, yes, Game Pass is a huge value. It's you'll be a fool not to have it if you're a person on Xbox because it literally makes it so you don't have to buy games day one, except for some of the third-party stuff that you want to get day one. But I think that's where they need to kind of change just for this holiday. They need to go to somebody like CG Projekt Red. They need to go to somebody like Ubisoft and say, hey, that Assassin's Creed that we got that marketing deal, what would it take just to put this game in Game Pass day one? You can still release it on other platforms, but for our player base, what does it take where our player base is saying we got over 10 million people in Game Pass? That's literally 10 million people that will be able to enjoy that game day one. What would it cost for us to do it? I think that's kind of what they need to do. Now, I'm not going to be against anybody saying that, no, we kind of want them to have something exclusive. I just feel like that just rubs against what Phil Spencer and everybody's already saying. Phil Spencer's, he flip-flops like a pancake and stuff. So I think that is just what they need to do as a platform. They just need to find one of these developers and say, what would it take to put this in there? Because guess what? Now that you delayed Halo, and I don't think Halo's just delayed to 2021. I think that thing's not coming out for a while. At this point, and I know this is going on top with Halo, once you decided to delay that game, I think you can't bring that game back in any form that's not flawless.
Yeah.
That game has to come back. Graphical fidelity needs to be something that you've never seen before. The scope of the game needs to be something that people never seen before. And guess what? You're going to have to break some promises. You're going to have to tell people that that thing ain't going to work on old gen platforms because it's going to take, and granted, by the time this game does release, I think that 2-year window is going to be up anyways, because I don't think this game's coming out next year. I don't think it's coming out to the end of 2022 because there's a lot of problems at 343 that you alluded to that's going on with that company. And I just think they can't mess up with Halo. We already said that for a lot of people, this was the last opportunity they had to really capture the player base when it comes to a game of this magnitude, because let's be for real, Halo is still the $5 billion franchise. You don't treat your $5 billion franchise like that. So you need to let that thing bake. If that thing doesn't come out to the middle of next generation, trust me, that game will be better for it, as long as they actually give us a game at the end that matters. But when it comes to all these other games, they don't have to spend money on marketing for Halo, because all that money that they're saving for that, drop that in some developer's pocket and say, hey, how do we get your game in Game Pass day one? It's nice to get all these smaller games and stuff in there. And I do think Microsoft is going to do something that nobody expects them to do. Maybe this whole EA thing is actually a thing, because I don't think just EA access is enough either, because all you're doing is getting demos. We need EA. We need the premier settings of EA. We need the one that's on PC that gives you the games day one in their full entirety for a year, like they got on PC. That's what we need in Game Pass. And Microsoft needs to, because that's not available on console. That's only available on PC, nowhere else. So I think that's the type of thing, if you're going to do a move with EA, that's what you need to do. Now, there is a chance something like that could probably happen, because we already have games like Madden that are in part of xCloud, which will be, I guess, in Game Pass. It's not in Game Pass right now, but it is a part of xCloud. So what's going to happen with that game when xCloud launches everywhere except Apple, because Apple doesn't want it on their platform right now? What's going to happen with that game when it comes to that for xCloud? Is it only going to be exclusive to xCloud? Are we going to see more things moved over? There's a lot of different ways that this stuff can move when it comes to Microsoft. I just think you're absolutely right. I'm never going to take that opinion from you, because I feel like you as a gamer are burned for the fact that you were looking forward to a game that's not coming out. And Microsoft knows it, because their whole marketing strategy was around Halo, the fidelity of playing on the looking console ever, the most strongest console ever, along with the best service in gaming. You're missing one of those 3 tempos now by not having Halo there, and they know it, because the moment they delayed Halo in a separate post, not even 2 minutes later, they had another blog on Xbox Wire that started talking about the 90 plus games that you're going to have in Game Pass, how technology isn't going to be able to hold us back. So these are all things, like being an Xbox fan, these are all the things that you just kind of just got to think of, say, okay, it sucks that they're doing this. What do they need to do to fix it? And then guess what? If they got to turn cheek and say, we got to go against everything we said for the last year and a half to, give our customer base what they want as gamers, you kind of got to do it. If you got to get those exclusives, and it's the only way you can do is to pay for them out the butt, you kind of got to do it. So I'm with you, Boom. It just depends on what deal or what developer is going to want to do that at that point, because it takes 2 to tango in that regard.
Look, I'll say this: if you want to make a splash, if you want to, again, the sting of Halo is going to be for a while. Again, we know that it's the most powerful console. We know that Microsoft has put together a beast of a machine. And what we don't know is how much the machine is going to cost, when we could pre-order the machine, when the machine is going to release. We have November 6th as the leaked photos show the controller, but we don't know if that's just a controller for that, and a week later the system. We have no knowledge of anything. So we got to talk about games. We got to see, because obviously, look, I'll tell you this: Sony. Let's understand something here, folks. Let's not just put the spotlight on Microsoft as if they're the only company in trouble. Because I'm going to tell you this right now: Sony is banking on the Gearbox game to be a big one for them. I got news for you: it's going to bomb. I mean, am I buying it? Sure, I'm buying it day one because I want to play something on my PlayStation 5. But I'll say this, and remember, you heard it fucking here first. Say what you want about Miles Morales. I think that that's a game that we may not play. I think that game might be delayed too, because just the same way COVID has affected Microsoft and their studios, there is a reason why you haven't seen God of War or an Uncharted or whatever else they're working on, because the mocap situation is bad across the industry. That doesn't excuse Sony just because they're the market leader. And again, could I be wrong about Miles Morales? Sure. Do I hope I'm wrong? Absolutely, because I do want to play that this year. But I have a real strong suspicion that that game misses the mark. They haven't said anything about it since. Do they have to? Well, that's up for debate. But here, Tempest, I want to bring up something to you. Now, look, again, we cannot stress the disappointment factor in the fan base. And I don't mean just the fans, because some people who left Xbox after the 360 to go to PlayStation might have seen the X and said, you know something? Microsoft is onto something here. They got the power. They're probably going to have the price because Phil Spencer said it. And holy shit, they got a new Halo. This is going to be, I'm buying this system. Now no Halo. Well, what do? Do you drop that? Do you knock on what do you call it, on Activision's door and say, listen, Call of Duty year, how much do we get a year of this? Because we don't know if that game is going to be delayed. Hell, we don't even know who has the marketing rights for that game at this point. Right. There is one little game that I'm kind of thinking about, only because I've seen that Microsoft is kind of cozy with EA. The rumored Mass Effect trilogy. Do you lock that up for as an exclusive permanently, or even for a year, to go along with your box? Because we've been hearing that that's releasing this holiday. We have no confirmation on it. And again, this is a trip down speculation town. But Mass Effect is a beloved trilogy, and everyone that I know that is probably in this chat right now would go out and buy that game. Could we see an exclusive Mass Effect trilogy in Game Pass day and date?
Ooh, I would say there might actually be a chance with that if the EA Play, like, rumors of it being added to Game Pass are real. We know the trilogy is coming, or at least we're pretty freaking sure it is, with all the leaks and stuff like that. Like, all evidence points that it is coming. And might I just say, that has me really excited. Mass Effect 1 is in my top 3. That's it, of all time. So this series means a lot to me. I don't know what they're doing with the remaster, but it's got me excited. I don't know, man. I could see it. I'll be honest with you. Some things are going, if they make sense in the sense of somewhat of a marketing rights for a certain game, or if it's a smaller publisher, a smaller developer, needing a little bit of a bump in their development. Like example, Second Extinction, that mecha game coming out. Those things are actually exclusive to Microsoft for a while. Those things I think make sense, but I just don't think Microsoft is in the business of locking down huge third-party exclusives anymore.
Yeah, but do you think they have to, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand where Phil's mindset is. I get it. He wants to be the industry good guy, and Game Pass allows him to do that. But the question is, with your big console release this fall, the main draw is gone. It has been removed from the conversation. Now, again, I see people talking about Miles Morales. It's DLC. Listen, DLC or not, it's a Spider-Man game, and it looks awesome. And guess who's going to platinum it? I am. And hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully that game does release. And you know what? Whether it only releases with that, the Gearbox game, and Bugsnax Game of the Year 2020, that's still your crown jewel for your PlayStation 5. Now, again, we've heard Resistance potentially coming back. We've heard SOCOM. I don't think any of these things are happening, at least not this year. I think honestly, they're going to heavily stack on the Miles Morales game, and again, hopefully it doesn't get delayed, and it does release during launch. And that's a big game for the PlayStation 5. The question is, what is going to be the big game for the Series X? Is it just going to be games as a whole across the board and no master? I mean, again, we don't know, but one of the big ones for me is the medium. Like, everyone's like poo-pooing it because it's a horror game. Folks, that looks freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah. See, to me, Microsoft has like a few of those, and you could say that so does Sony, but you just said it earlier. They're not saying anything. They're not hyping up Miles Morales at all, because that is their quote unquote big launcher, just like Halo Infinite would have been, right? Both of these companies they're not really saying much. We don't know what their launch lineup is. We don't know the price of these things yet. Microsoft hasn't even announced the Series S, and it is a thing. So
it is a thing for sure. So, we know that for a fact. I mean, we saw the packaging, for Christ's sake.
Exactly. So, like, there's a lot that we should know by now, and I don't know if it's COVID. I don't know if it's just this is the first time, like, and I don't know, 20-something years that E3 hasn't been around. I don't know what it is, but things are so different right now. We really don't know. And you asked me the question, do they need it? Honest to goodness, maybe. The reason I say maybe and not a definite yes is I know this a Sony exec came out and said it's their strongest launch lineup ever. But, like, no details. We don't know if that's
true.
Also
said he was slick. He was a slick mofo, because what he said in that article, and I read that as well, is it's our strongest lineup ever, launch lineup ever, in the launch window and in the years to come. I mean, it was the biggest full of shit story I've ever read. I mean, he basically said within the next 14 months you're going to get good games. Wow. Holy crystal ball, Batman. That was news.
Yeah. No, see, so right there, I completely agree with you. Do they need it? And the reason why, and I'm going to sound like I'm going to sound like a fanboy here, but they're not wrong when they say thousands of games at launch. We still do not know what the PS5 is doing for backwards compatibility. We don't know. We know that the DualShock 4 doesn't work for PS5 games. We know that. But, like, everything, this is the most accessible console launch for at least Microsoft ever. You can just buy the Series S, hopefully at launch, or for sure the Series X at launch, and everything, absolutely everything is compatible right out of the gate. And they're doing some outlandish, freakish things I didn't even think would be possible, like taking a backwards compatible game, doubling the resolution, but adding HDR out of nowhere, like a machine learning HDR. The biggest one is the frame rates.
Yes.
Sometimes doubling the frame. I don't know how they do that. That sounded like, some weird voodoo witchcraft.
You're getting ray tracing in Fusion Frenzy.
Yeah, I don't understand. Exactly. So, like, and let me tell you, as a PC guy, for those that have not experienced, many people have said this before. I'm not breaking ground here, but you go and upgrade your video card. You don't then take the most taxing game humanly possible and test it. No, what you do is take games you've already played, some older games you've played, and you test out the new graphics card and see how many frames you get, see how high you can bump the resolution, all that stuff, right? Well, for the first time ever, we're getting that in a console. And the reason why this is relevant is because this is what you're getting at launch. Not only that, but I don't have a list in front of me, but I'm pretty sure out of the announced quote unquote exclusives, and they are exclusives, timed or not, I'm pretty sure Microsoft at this point, from what's announced, has more. I also think that there's quite a few more interesting ones on the list. Everybody wants to poo-poo that May event, right? There was a lot of really cool freaking games.
I like there, dude. Yes.
A ton of games. I feel like everybody's forgotten. And the other thing is, they were all smart delivery. Meaning some of them might come we don't know. I mean, and like, again, COVID, who knows what's being delayed, but there is a lot of games coming out, if not at launch, very soon after. And we are forgetting about the biggest launch title for both of these consoles, these new consoles coming out. Well, at least for Series X, for sure. And that's Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
That game is coming out. And although the quote unquote official next gen patch isn't going to be there day one, I'm pretty sure they've already alluded to the fact that this is going to look and run the best it can on whatever console you're using. And if there's any form of dynamic resolution, dynamic frame rate mode, anything like that, it's going to be playing at its highest fidelity on the Series X. So it almost doesn't matter what comes out. I say that for Halo too. Everybody's excited for Halo. Cyberpunk 2077 is a massive deal, And I guarantee you there is an extremely large portion of Series X and PS5 owners that when they bring those consoles home, the main game they're going to be playing, and I'm one of them, is going to be Cyberpunk 2077 anyways. And I can say with full confidence, I could take the biggest L here ever. I don't care. I truly believe the best place you're going to be able to play it outside of a high-end PC, of course, is the Series X. So I honestly don't think they need to go off the deep end and spend billions of dollars locking up this or locking up that just because Halo's delayed. There is plenty of reasons, at least for me, to be ecstatic with the launch coming up. And I don't want it delayed. I know Cyber thinks that they should delay these things, right? But I want that new console in my hands. I want to play everything I'm playing now, but at a better fidelity. Like, example, I know I'm rambling. I'll stop it here. But like one game that has a unlocked frame rate, and I believe it has a dynamic resolution as well. It might be locked to 1700p. I don't know. Is Monster Hunter World. I have over 500 hours in that game. They're still coming out with content for it, right? That game on the resolution mode, that where it looks it's crisp, it's an unlocked frame rate. I almost guarantee you when I play that thing on my Series X, it's going to be a smooth sailing 60 frames per second the whole way. It's going to feel like a new game to me. And because right now I play it on the performance mode, but it lowers the resolution to like 1080p or below that. It looks blurry, right? I'm going to be able to put that puppy on the resolution mode and play it at 60 frames per second. It's going to feel like a new game to me. I might play that stupid thing for another 200 more hours. So I'm ready for this console. I am just, I need it. I want it. And I think it's in an okay shape because there's tons of games coming out for it. So I don't think they have to go crazy. I think they're in a good spot.
Okay, that's a strong point. Let me move over to middle-aged gamer guy here, but let me catch up with some of the super chats. We have Nightwolf 3186 who drops a very generous $10 super chat and says this: great panel again. Congrats, Boom, on 5K. Again, thank you so much for that. He says, keep being you and you'll see 10K before the year is out. From your mouth to the gaming god's ears, my friend. He says, side notes, can we get Rocksteady to make an open world Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game with co-op? Well, you know what? Sign me up right now because that's dope. Mag, listen, you've heard different sides of the coin. Mm-hmm. And I've been a little emotional. I again, maybe I'm being a little bit of a spoiled brat live on the air because I think Microsoft kind of owes the fans something. That's my take on it. And I don't care if I'm wrong, but I feel as someone that has not blindly supported this company in its worst shape ever to where it is now. And I think Microsoft is doing quite well. I just think that we all expected Halo. Halo was not coming. We don't need to talk about it anymore. We do know that they have a lot of, smaller games that are going to be as good, potentially better than that experience. The Medium is coming. The Ascent's coming. There's plenty of other games that, listen, the last 4 days, folks, just to give you the heads up of what I've been playing, I just beat Lucky's Tale, a new Super Lucky's Tale today. I 100% of the entire game. Guess what? I spent about 25 hours playing that game, and I loved every fucking second of it. And you know what I was playing before that? Delilah's Battletoads, which I think is so underrated and so much fun. I don't know what to tell you. If that's not your bag, well, then it's not your bag. What can I tell you? But I like some of the smaller experiences, which is what I think we're going to get in spades come this fall. But I still think we need the one big industry stopping newsworthy game to say exclusive for X amount of years. They need to pull a Sony. Am I wrong, Mag?
No, you're not wrong at all. Now, the thing is, you just mentioned something about the smaller games and the experiences that they bring. The good experiences, wonderful. But guess what? When you're boxing somebody, little jab, little jab, little jab, little jab ain't going to knock anybody out.
Yes.
Okay? It's time to put on your big boy pants and get serious. Enough with the baloney. Now, let me tell you something. First of all, I've said this before on this very podcast about Microsoft needing to make big moves to fill that Halo hole. And I'll tell you something else. What's it called there? Mass Effect Trilogy ain't going to do it. Not going to do it.
Okay.
EA in there with old games ain't going to do it. It's not. Now, what they need to do, they got to entice their customers to buy into the next gen and adopt early. Okay? Mass Effect Trilogy is not going to turn heads. It'll turn heads for fans who played it 10 years ago. You are not going to bring in a new generation of people going, oh, yeah, because they don't know what the hell it is. Okay, we got to get serious now. Let's get serious. I know we're talking as fans. We're older guys. We've played all these games. They're not making these for us anymore. We just happen to be along for the ride. Their eyeballs are on the 20-year-olds, the 15-year-olds, not us 45, 50-year-old old bastards. Okay, yeah, sure, we got money. But you know what we also have? We have kids. And those kids are not really interested in that. Anyways, I'm going to get back on track here. The Xbox Series X is a great start to the casuals, okay? But the Series X is the wild card. Now, hear me out for a second. This is my whole thought process on this whole situation. If hardcore gamers looking for ultimate power and performance outside of a PC, don't attack me, folks, are going to shell out big bucks for the new system, it would be a hell of an incentive if they didn't have to buy some big titles to go with it.
Yes, strong point.
Okay.
Strong point.
This is a tricky situation for Microsoft because if they don't give that major incentive, people will very quickly go to the PS5 first and adopt first with the PS5 to get their hands on those big, timed exclusives.
Yes.
They will go over there. Now, if you present the choice of, let's say, I don't know, presumably both consoles cost $500, but Game Pass gets packed in day one in the box with some big time third-party titles. You're walking out of that store, okay, with everything intact for $500. If you walk out of that store with a PS5 and you got to pay $500 for that box, 2 games, and let's say Miles Morales, okay, at $60 a piece, you are walking out of that store spending $700, making Forte very happy, by the way, that people will get the Xbox first.
Let's not forget Bug Snacks Game of the Year. Let's not forget
how
that.
the hell? Okay,
that's
well,
$1,000 now.
Yeah,
that game,
now
the
we're up-
$250 collector's edition is. I'm getting
edition.
Slander.
Slander. I know.
Exactly. So this is what I'm thinking. Now you're spending $700 plus to $1,000 with Bug Snacks. Now people will get the Xbox first. Now that puts them in the Game Pass ecosystem, which is what they wanted from the get-go. And they'll pick up the PS5 down the road when Sony drops the hammer with their big-time AAA monsters, with their Black Friday deals, all that. Okay, that's what you remember. You remember how the PS4 absolutely went astronomical after Spider-Man showed up on Black Friday for what? How much was it? $199, $299,
$100, dude.
Okay, $199.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, that's when people say, "I'll pick it up down the road when those big games come." Because as it stands, those big games ain't coming soon. Okay, so that being said, I see only 4 big titles coming out this fall. Third party, mind you. You got Cyberpunk. You got Call of Duty. Is Watch Dogs 3 coming this fall?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, because of February.
Oh,
never
okay.
mind. Next year.
You're right.
Shit. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so now we're down to 3. Holy mackerel. You've got Cyberpunk, you got Call of Duty, you got AC Valhalla. You can forget about Call of Duty. Okay, that ain't going anywhere. Activision ain't going to give you Call of Duty. The best that they'll do for you is a marketing deal. Cyberpunk would be my guess, but how about AC Valhalla?
That's what
And,
I'm thinking. Yeah.
You know, now, yes, Ubisoft does have a subscription service, but I
Mhm.
mean, honestly, is it breaking down walls? No. Do you hear people talking about it? No. People are climbing over each other to get this? No. So I say you get Cyberpunk and AC Valhalla. You throw whatever cash you need to do to get those games, and you don't have to get them permanently. I'm talking 3 to 6 months on Game Pass. That would be reasonable because those games cannot be finished in that time, in my opinion. Okay, if players want to continue the game, buy it at a discount on Game Pass or subscribe to Ubisoft service, down the road if that's what the route they want to go. Therefore, you make it self-serving to both companies with mutual benefits. Do you stop there? No, you don't stop there. That's when you drop the giant kick in the balls, and then you introduce Cyberpunk 2077 day and date in Game Pass. Limited time, mind you. Okay, limited time. So you give CD Projekt Red to get those sales from Game Pass because that game will most likely take several hundred hours to complete. Okay, so what you're doing is you're giving the gamers a taste of greatness. And I don't care what Miles Morales is doing. If you put Cyberpunk in their day and date, people will go to the Xbox. You have to play the passion of the masses. This is how you get the job done. And in the immortal words of Rocky Balboa, that's how winning is done.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, obviously, we think, I mean, look, there are a couple of ways Microsoft can turn the tide, so to speak. Obviously, on a big announcement of like, let's say, for instance, WB, right? I've been banging the drum. I think the deal is done. Whatever. If I'm wrong, so be it. You announce that, and somehow or another, you cut Sony's throat for the price. And I think that's what they're waiting to do. And again, I'm not being disrespectful to Sony. Sony's making quite a pretty penny. They're doing well in their movies where they weren't because of Spider-Man, Venom. They have a lot of good work, good animation stuff coming from Sony. The Spider-Verse, obviously has been doing very well for them, and the second one is coming soon. But right now, as a company, they are not in a position to launch under $500. I know people want this to happen. Yeah, you're going to get a $399 console, but it's going to be the discless version. You're going to get the digital version for $400. That's fine. But they can't take their main console anywhere under 500. And if Microsoft can somehow lock up one big game into Game Pass, cut the cost of the system, even if it's by $50. Think about the dominoes I'm just putting up here, folks, right? Your console versus console, we think they're going to be 500, right? We're pretty sure of that. Microsoft even undercut Sony by $50. It's a power and price versus Sony narrative. Now, this is narrative we saw in 2013, and it worked quite well for Sony. Right, this is how you share games. You got the 1080p. It makes you a better gamer, right? Remember that? I remember that, right? And they all so they won on price and power. They were more powerful than the Xbox One, and they had them by $100. Now, I don't know if Microsoft could launch it for $400. If you listen to last week's Xbox Factor podcast, VJ broke it down like a true champion of justice, and how he believes they could logistically launch it for $4. So let's say, for instance, just for shits and giggles.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, that Microsoft locks up AC Valhalla in Game Pass day one. Right? They cannot, for the love of Jehovah, get Cyberpunk. Fine, they get AC Valhalla, not as an exclusive, but they spend the money to get it in Game Pass day one. The system's $100 cheaper than the PlayStation 5, and they announce a big acquisition. Now, whether that's Bungie coming back into the fray, whether that's WB, whether that's somebody big, that 3-card Monty that I just dropped at your lap, it don't give a shit how Miles Morales could be swinging around tens for all I care. It's not going to be the conversation. The conversation is going to be moved to Microsoft because they have the power, they have the price, They have the service. Oh shit. AC Valhalla's in there day one. Okay, now we're talking. And they just signed Bungie? Oh my God. This is crazy. This is party time. Now, granted, what I'm just talking about is complete lunacy. Is any of that going to happen? Probably not. But in Speculation Town, are you ever wrong? The answer is no, you're not. So I want to move this conversation over to Cyber Batman. Now, you've heard the panel's opinion, and there are varied opinions. Some people think that it could work. Some people think that it couldn't work. I'm interested to know what you think Microsoft needs to do. How big of a splash do they need to make for the dedicated fan base?
Oh man, I'm agreeing with Forte and Mag on this one. Sorry, Tempest. Yeah, man. I think for the Series X or to even this Halo announcement we need a big announcement to overshadow this Halo announcement, right?
Yes.
And how do you do that? You have to take one of these major AAA titles. There are legitimately pushing what we can do next gen, right? In this case, in my eyes, would be Cyberpunk. Not necessarily get a timed exclusive or something like that, but kind of, align the stars with Game Pass, kind of like what Mag mentioned earlier. Make this game come to the service day and date, for, I don't know, 6 months to a year, to whenever you think Halo is going to be ready. Because it was a big blow to Microsoft, man. With this Halo deal, with the delay of Halo, Microsoft, I don't think they could have afforded that. I know there are a lot of games that we're playing. I'm guilty of it as well. We have everyone here probably has a tremendous backlog that we can all take advantage of. All these games, being delayed and things like that. And we would love to play that on the new hardware. Hopefully, better graphical fidelity, better loading times, frame rate, and etc. But these consoles coming out and not getting that next gen patch or exactly what we're expecting to see from the next gen kind of hurts everything. And this in the Series X, it's coming out for us to play our old games. I know that's a good thing, but for Xbox, we need a AAA game here to release alongside the Series X. I think Microsoft's going to have to bite the bullet on this one, bring out the checkbook, go over to CD Projekt Red and be like, hey, what can we do here? And that is if these games that are potentially coming out this year, that's also if they don't get delayed themselves. There were rumors everywhere talking about, hey, Cyberpunk may get delayed to 2021 as well. So if that doesn't happen, where do they go next? Do they go to Ubisoft? Do they get I think Watch Dogs is coming out this year still.
I'm pretty sure that yeah.
Watch Dogs is we got it mixed up. Watch Dogs is October and Far Cry is in February.
Okay, right. You're right. Okay.
With it, yeah.
So I think Watch Dogs, or do you go to the Assassin's Creed route because you already have marketing deals with them, and maybe have some kind of deal with Ubisoft. It's tough, man. It's a strange year. That's what I was mentioning. Or do you do both? Or do you don't do anything at all? Are you confident enough on your service and you highlight Game Pass as the star that you trust that service enough that you say, okay, hey guys, I know we don't have, any of our first parties coming out this year, but all the games that you currently have and are coming out will still play better in the Series X, which because it will be the most powerful console out there. So do you trust your console enough and your service enough of Game Pass to hold on until all your first party games starts coming out and start actually showcasing the power that your console can do? Because like what Forte mentioned, this next Halo, man, it needs to be top notch in all categories. It cannot withstand another blow like it took this year when it showcased in July. So yeah, I think Microsoft is in a little bit of a pickle here. They're between a rock and a hard place. If it were me, I would go towards Cyberpunk, see which way they're leaning here. But if they don't, and they have to go the Assassin's Creed route, I think that's going to be great too. I know the people loved Odyssey, and this one is looking like it's right up a lot of people's alley. So yeah, man. Or do they go, and say, hey, we trust our console enough, and we trust the Game Pass service enough that it can hold on till next year, where all our stuff will potentially start coming out. So I got a little bit to think about.
So let me play devil's advocate to this a little bit. So, and it's a question for the whole podcast, because what you just said at the very end is very interesting, because I was thinking about that for a while as well too. What happens if they don't do anything? This is just me thinking a little bit just outside of the box. Does Sony truly need Spider-Man to sell PS5s right now? What do y'all think? Do you think they need?
No. I don't think Series X or PS5 needs anything to sell. They'll both sell regardless.
PS5 will sell on the name.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at. People keep talking about how Spider-Man is the reason people are going to buy a PS5. No, PS5 is the reason people are going to buy a PS5. Spider-Man just happens to be a game that's releasing alongside the system, which kind of enhances the product, but the system's going to sell out regardless. If Spider-Man wasn't there, it's going to sell. Same thing with the Xbox. The Xbox, we just happen to be in this unique situation where the amount of systems they're going to have is not going to meet demand. They're not
for sure. Yeah,
they're not going to produce enough systems for everybody to get one where they're going to be sitting on shelves in December, the day before Christmas. It's going to be too many people, and plus they did a really good strategy, Microsoft in general, with discontinuing 2 of the 3 of the major systems that they were going to release over the holiday by saying the X isn't going to be there and the all digital is going to be there. I don't even know how much the S is going to be there. When I mean S, I'm talking about the Xbox One S. I don't even know how many that they're going to have. Maybe that system will be their holiday bundle for Thanksgiving, the one that they give away for like $150. Because trust me, these other systems aren't going to be discounted. They're just going to be regular price. So I think PS4, when they said they're going to still have production on PS4s, I think Xbox still going to have something to give away during Thanksgiving Day, which is going to be those $150 to $200 bundles that they were last year. That's what those systems are going to be for, and everything else is just going to be either you're going to get one of the new S's or the X, or you're going to get a PS5, whichever variant they have available. And when the day before Christmas rolls around, all that stuff's going to be gone. So the question really comes down to, do they really have to do anything this holiday? And I know it sounds crazy because you feel like they should replace something that you're not getting. But what happens if they move that money into next year and say, hey, let's go after something like Far Cry. Let's go after something that's coming out during the time where we know we gonna need it, because that's what's gonna take our system to a whole nother level, because we don't have to do anything right now because it's gonna sell regardless. Let's make a move for when the dead season comes, when they actually gotta think about what they want to buy, because the holidays really ain't that big of a, you really don't have to worry about your product selling. Even when Xboxes, I remember 2 holidays ago, we had Xboxes sitting in our room for like up to the week of Christmas. I was like, whoa, we still got 40 Xboxes in our back room and all the PlayStations was gone. But what happened over that week? Literally everybody was like, got a PlayStation? Oh no, we out of it. Oh, what you got? I need an Xbox. They bought the Xbox. All those Xboxes were gone at the end of that week. I was like, whoa, we have 40, now they're gone. So that's the thing that I think is going to happen with the holiday. But what's going to happen in March, February, what's going to happen in April, what's going to happen in May, that's when they need to really start selling the system to people, saying, hey, didn't get an Xbox Series X day one or an S day one, this is the reason you need to get it. These are games that we're going to have in Game Pass day one, because the system's going to sell itself just off the merit of it being something that people are clamoring for. And the fact that they're playing this cat and mouse game with each other has people even more interested in picking up these systems because it's not about the price of the system no more. It's about, come on, Sony, come on, Microsoft, tell us when these systems are coming out so we can pre. It's not even about, it ain't even about, do I want one anymore? It's like, when can I pre-order the thing? So I think that's the question we should be asking. And what are they going to do in next year going into February, March, and April? And that will be the key for who's going to sell better next year.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Listen, obviously, we're already past the 2-hour mark. So what I want to do is I want to catch up with some of the super chats, and I want to get clowns in here. First of all, JD Gamer has been dropping super chats like I've been scratching my eyebrow, which I cannot thank you enough, JD Gamer. It is unbelievable the generosity you show this channel. For his first super chat, he says this after dropping $5. The MS acquisition, marketing, global publishing teams are working overtime right now to get some of these deals done for launch. Yes, actually, Phil Spencer did in fact say that. We have Viper XT is here. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, Watch Dogs is at the end of October. Far Cry 6 is February. Yeah, thanks for the correction, dude. Super appreciate that. And he's JD Gamer drops a $2 super chat and says, MAD, I think you're onto something. Get serious, Microsoft. Yep, there you go. JD Games, and he's a pro Xbox dude, so he's agreeing. JD Gamer drops another $5 super chat and says, Microsoft needs to be a better salesman. That's a great point. If you sell the console, you sell the ecosystem. Do it hard. Do it fast, do it first, i.e. close the deal, Microsoft. Great freaking point. JD Gamer drops another $5 super chat and says, use the art of war to topple Sony. It's what Sony's been using since day one. Get stronger by making your enemy weaker, i.e. take their games away. Hello, I love it. JD Gamer drops another $10 super chat. Thank you for your generosity. He says this: big moves. Buy WB and announce permanent gaming IP licenses for all of DCEU, and future content will be exclusive. Then buy Bungie, From Software, Bluepoint, and then drop the hammer with Castlevania and Metal Gear Solid. I mean, listen, if I'm Phil Spencer, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going into Satya Nadala's office. I'm going into Amy Cook's office, and I'm saying, listen, we're in a bit of a pickle, folks. We're behind the 8 ball here. Yes, Game Pass is going to sell. We're going to make a lot of money on it. We have 15 million plus right now in Korea. The xCloud is just going crazy. People are just sucking it up left and right. Everyone's enjoying it. But they need something. They definitely need to make some big moves, make some big announcements, put the spotlight back on you, and take that shine away from Sony. Viper XT drops another $5 super chat and says, I agree with Gaming Forte. This is a new year that Microsoft will need something to push the console strong. And JD Gamer drops one more super chat for $2. Thank you again. He says, all to make your enemy weaker and you stronger. Great points. All great points. You know, clowns, Phil Spencer was interviewed, and he actually responded on Twitter that about a positive article that The Verge ran. And the title of that article said, with titles like Battletoads and Grounded, Xbox Game Pass is inching closer to becoming like Netflix. A subscription service needs more than just blockbusters. And I agree 100%. And this is what Phil had to say. Game Pass is starting to hit a critical mass with these kinds of experiences, not just games that are maybe below average yet interesting, but also titles I wouldn't have thought to try if they had a price tag attached to it. And that goes for a lot of games in Game Pass. Now, granted, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. I want the same kind of quality AAA games that you see on Nintendo and on Sony, and we're going to get them. The big draw for us this year was supposed to be Halo. That didn't happen. Okay, fine. But there are ways to handle this situation where, again, you take this. Just because Miles Morales looks like it's going to be potentially a 90, and it probably will be, doesn't mean Microsoft can't have games that are going to be 90s. They just don't have their big dog right now, and that's fine. Clowns, my question to you is, how aggressive does Phil Spencer and Microsoft need to be this fall to launch with their console? Do they need some day and date, not exclusives, but in Game Pass to sell the hardware and service? Because I'm not sure who said it. I think it was Mag that said it. If you're buying both consoles, You're walking out of the store and you're spending $500, and we're hearing that a 3-month Game Pass card is going to be in there with every console sold. And if Microsoft was able to lock in some big games in there, literally day and date as the console releases, here's some big Assassin's Creed Valhalla waiting for you. And you're Sony, and you're like, well, Sony, man, I got to buy everything because I can't use my old controllers. I got to buy Miles Morales. That's $60 or $70. An extra control. You're talking $600, $700, $800 out the door, when Microsoft might be the better choice because it's more powerful, and they have the better service. That's the bottom line, and service that could potentially have big games. How would you handle this, CEO of Microsoft? They're clowns.
This is really a tough spot because I think that we're in a new generation on Microsoft. I think we're in a generation of Xbox where Phil wants everybody to have equal access to everything. And unfortunately, right now, Sony's not playing that game. Sony's still playing hardball like it's last generation. So I think if I was Phil Spencer, I would do something along the lines of what Mag said earlier. I would go ahead and get CD Projekt Red to give me Cyberpunk and put it in Game Pass for a taste of all my subscriber base. And, like he said, it's going to be like hundreds and thousands of hours to beat that game. So why not just put it in there for a limited time, knowing that once you get into the story that a majority of the people are going to buy that game anyway. So it makes perfect sense to do something like that. I would also take Assassin's Creed Valhalla and I would go to Ubisoft and be like, listen, for my Game Pass subscribers, let's give them a taste of your game for a little bit, a very short limited time, give them the option of buying, but also let's give them exclusive DLC that they can only get if they had Xbox Series X or if they only had Game Pass, and maybe like make a special weapon, something like Xbox themed or green colored themed or something really cool for limited DLC content. And I think that that's the route that Microsoft and Xbox need to take right now, because that's the game that Sony's playing. They don't have to go ahead and buy every single studio that Sony might use or make, game like Spider-Man exclusive to, let's say, Xbox or something, because, that's not the Xbox that we're dealing with. But get limited DLC, get a game in there for limited time in Game Pass, make it so that people want to get Game Pass and people want to play it. And then even make additional bonuses like, play Game Pass on xCloud, get an extra set of DLC or get an extra, costume for your character that you can only get if you played on xCloud. Do something really cool like that, and then people will buy into your services. And that's what they really need right now. They don't have to play the hardball game like Sony does, but they can bat a little bit harder and get better content.
Well, I like the way you're thinking. As a matter of fact, I think everyone kind of really knocked this topic out of the park, to be honest with you. Again, it started off a little salty, and I like the way it ended. I think that, and more specifically, I like the way JD is speaking. He actually said something in the chat where he said that they want to make the most money, take mind share and market share. This is how it's done. There you go. And he actually drops another file which just says, Phil, you're awesome now. Call Peter Moore and see how important it is for the community that feel like they're winners. This will sell Game Pass way faster. I mean, listen, a lot of people have had some big opinions during this show. Show went a little long, but I'm glad we were able to get into this topic. And, again, we didn't have the biggest foot traffic through today, which I'm a little surprised by that, because we've been averaging 500 people usually in the chat. Today was a little light. Maybe people are on vacation. Do me a favor, folks. If you're enjoying this, hit that like button. And also share this out on social media. Let people know that we got some massive topics. And I think this was a pretty damn good show. Tempest Son had to step away, family reasons. He'll be back next week. So I just want to give him a shout out. Thank him for being here. So we'll get into the outros, get everyone out of here. I want to thank, first of all, we'll start with Gaming Forte. Again, your channel has it's 2 shakes of a stick away from 2,000 subs. That's a big deal. And the content that you have been putting out has been nothing short of amazing. And I'm interested to know where people can follow you on social media, but more importantly, follow you on other shows and check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
Yeah, definitely. Really appreciate it, man. It's Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, even Xbox Live. PlayStation is still not cool because I'm scared to change my name over there because I don't want to lose my games, even though I hear they kind of fixed that, but don't want to take no chance with over 600 games. But yeah, man, it's been a great podcast. Check me out. Me and Slow-Mo will be doing our annual live stream tomorrow, talking about all the stuff that happened over the weekend. That's on my channel tomorrow at 9 p.m. Check us out on BRAP on Wednesday at 9 p.m. on Wednesday night, and Crossfire on the weekend, Friday, 7 p.m. So a lot of places to catch up. You guys have a great week. See you guys next week.
Thank you so much for being here, dude. Super appreciate that. Next up, we're going to go with Cyber Batman. Dude, do me a favor. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out your YouTube channel and also potentially reach out to you and do some DMing. Talk about Batman, Suicide Squad, and potentially what happened at, of course, DC Fandom.
Oh, absolutely. I always love being here Monday evening with you guys. I appreciate the chat. I always love the conversation. Cybernox everywhere, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. I'm actually playing, going back and playing. I'm trying to 1000 The Witcher 3, which will take a long time, but I love that game. So, yeah, I'll probably be playing that over on Twitch. Yeah. If you guys want to talk about anything gaming related, DC related, just anything, superhero related, anything, you just want to have a conversation, or if you want to, just game, Cybernox on Xbox as well. That's where I do primarily all of my gaming. So yeah, always fun to be here, and I can't wait for next week.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for being here as always. Next up, we're going to go with, of course, Mag, also known as the middle-aged gamer guy. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but also tell them about your new forte with, of course, the one and only Noof Nukem.
Absolutely. You can follow me on Twitter at the Middle Age Game Guy. That's with a GY at the end. If you wish to find me or play with me on Xbox, my gamer tag is all capitals DEDMEAT1. That is Dead Meat 1. You can also find me on the PlayStation in all capitals once again, because I don't know how to be quiet. It is I am the Mag, all one word. I am the Mag with 2 G's. Now, as for my other venture, yes, I am now a permanent member of Gaming After Dark every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube with, of course, Noof Nukem and the crazy and awesome Titan Drago. So we'll come and join us and check us out. And again, thank you, Boom. Thank you, chat. Thank you, panel, for a great night. It was wonderful. And yes, we'll talk to you guys next.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on your new venture. That is going to be
Thank you, sir.
Pretty damn awesome. And last and no way least, the Italian Clowns. Obviously, you are the voice of Four Guys with Quarters. As a matter of fact, you are one of the community members I think a lot of people look forward to talking with, simply because you have big opinions, and we are always happy to hear that you did not sink in Florida. Do me a favor, Clowns. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check you out on other forms of social media.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. Well, you can check me out at Italian Clowns on almost everything. On Mondays, it's Four Guys with Quarters. Tonight, we had special guest Stepmama Rocks and Mike the Truth as well. And always on Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends. And thank you for having me again, Boom. Always appreciate it, brother.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and obviously we're glad to know that you're okay. Last but not least, we also have the Wise Old Gamer drops a very generous $5 super chat as we get at it. He says, my kids are not interested in The Last of Us 2 or GOT. Maybe Xbox does not want old guys like us anymore. They want the new generation. Well, I hope that's not true. I got to be honest with you. I think that Microsoft needs all of the gaming community. That means whether that's the 10-year-olds or the 50-year-olds, I think everyone counts. And hopefully, and I believe Microsoft does think that way as well. But listen, folks, I want to say thank you so much for coming out. I want to say thank you for the outstanding generosity that you guys continue to show Double Barrel Gaming. Also, I want to thank my moderators who are here. We have UK Dazarus constantly in the chat, making sure that it's safe. We also, of course, have plenty of others. The sheriff also always here, always patrolling the streets and getting out the trolls that ruin it for everyone. And real quick, I just want to say a big shout out to JD Gamer for his generosity. I mean, JD, you went crazy today, and I definitely want to say I appreciate that. And listen, folks, I want to say something that I close out every show with. It's important to me. Hopefully it will be important to you. And it's something my dad taught me when I was a kid. He said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.